Chapter 3988 Chapter 3988 His junior sister insisted. Chapter 3988 His junior sister insisted. Feng Xiangnan asked, "Is he injured?" Feng Wu nodded. "He can't come out for 3 months. He can't get injured again." General Feng nodded. When he heard that Jun Linyuan had single-handedly defeated so many spiritual saints, General Feng was astonished. Before she knew it, Jun Linyuan had become so capable. He then looked at Feng Wu, who was bargaining with Patriarch Huyan. As a matter of fact, Jun Linyuan wasn't the only one. The girl in front of him was equally astonishing. General Feng was pleased. The younger generation had grown so fast that it was a lot less stressful for them. However, when he recalled what Patriarch Huyan said, that the Dayan Empire was determined to destroy the Junwu Empire, General Feng felt a chill run down his spine. By then, Feng Wu had finished talking to Patriarch Huyan. She said, "It's a deal then." Patriarch Huyan nodded. "Of course. I can fool other people, but I can't fool you." If their master heard about this, he would be in trouble. General Feng was perplexed. What was the Patriarch and Feng Wu talking about in that split second? Why were they so excited? Patriarch Huyan was about to leave after that when General Feng suddenly remembered someone. If that person was here, they might be able to save the Junwu Empire and the entire continent. Hence, General Feng said, "Senior Huyan." Master Huyan looked at General Feng in bewilderment. After some thought, General Feng asked, "Is it rumored that Master Mu is your master?" Patriarch Huyan glanced at Feng Wu, but she didn't say anything. Did that mean that he could say whatever he wanted? Patriarch Huyan cleared his throat and put on a straight face. "Why do you ask?" General Feng said eagerly, "If we can find Master Mu, maybe." Patriarch Huyan was speechless. "Only one person in this world knows where he is." Feng Xiangnan asked excitedly, "Who is it? Please tell me." Patriarch Huyan dampened his enthusiasm. If that person could show up, would the Dayan Empire still be so arrogant? Do you know what happened back then? Seeing the expectant look in Feng Wu's eyes, Patriarch Huyan stopped talking involuntarily. He couldn't afford to reveal this secret. "Senior, which master knows where Master Mu is?" Master Huyan glanced at Feng Wu and said grumpily, "Who else could it be? It's the young friend who has asked me to protect your empire." Feng Xiangnan was shocked. "And that is?" Master Huyan had denied Jun Linyuan's claim, but no one else in the Junwu Empire was capable enough to make him come here. Patriarch Huyan waved him off. He also wanted to know where his master was, but his junior sister had kept it a secret and wouldn't say a word. What choice did he have? "You'll have 3 months. Take care of yourselves." In the end, Master Huyan left. Feng Xiangnan's headache at the thought of what would happen 3 months later. Feng Wu comforted him. "Jun Linyuan will come out of seclusion in 3 months, which is why I've asked for 3 months." Feng Xiangnan shook his head with a wry smile. After all, the girl had no idea how terrifying the Dayan Empire was. No individual could withstand the Dayan Empire all by themselves. No matter how powerful Jun Linyuan was, he was still one man. Even if he made it to that legendary stage. Chapter 3989 Chapter 3989 Relationship with Patriarch Huyan. Chapter 3989 Relationship with Patriarch Huyan. However, Patriarch Huyan was already at that level, and he was still intimidated by the Dayan Empire. So, Feng Xiangnan looked at Feng Wu and asked casually, "You seem to be very familiar with Master Huyan." Feng Wu said, "Well, not really. We're just friends." "Does my godfather suspect that I'm Patriarch Huyan's friend?" As a matter of fact, General Feng didn't suspect Feng Wu at all because he asked, "Who do you think that friend of Master Huyan's is? If we can find him, we'll be able to find Master Mu." "Once we find Master Mu..." Feng Wu shook her head. "Forget about it. If Master Mu could come out, he would have done so already. Since we haven't heard from him, it only means that he's dead. Feng Xiangnan heaved a sigh. Feng Wu stared at General Feng. No, her master was alive. General Feng rubbed Feng Wu's head. What do you know? Why would I tell you that? Feng Wu didn't know what to say. But you really can't go to the Dongsang Kingdom. Got it? General Feng reminded Feng Wu. Just then, they heard a voice outside. It was Mr. Lu. Mr. Lu had to be here for something important. Got it? General Feng reminded Feng Wu again. Feng Wu grinned but didn't say yes. General Feng decided that he would talk to the girl after talking to Mr. Lu so that she wouldn't run off to Donglin City. However, when General Feng and Mr. Lu came back from their discussion, Feng Wu was nowhere to be seen. General Feng paled and rushed out. After searching for Feng Wu for a while, General Feng still couldn't find her, so he went straight to Elder Hellion. Elder Hellion was thrilled to see General Feng. General, that girl is incredible. She has defeated 200 fighter jets all by herself. If it hadn't been for her, we would have. Only then did General Feng realize that the girl had made such a great achievement before she went to the spiritual saint battlefield. This girl was practically a treasure in the study of ancient technology. He couldn't afford to lose her. What? Didn't she go north on your order? General Feng's face turned livid. Elder Hellion immediately realized what had happened. What? Wasn't that girl supposed to be there? Did she go there on her own? General Feng said, We must stop her. Elder Hellion said, At her speed, she should have reached Sun Castle by now. General Feng was speechless. Just as Elder Hellion expected, Feng Wu had entered Sun Castle. This wasn't the first time Feng Wu had been here, so she knew the way like the back of her hand. She was even able to sneak into Sun Castle with great ease. Feng Wu had thought that she would be able to get some information from Lord Jing, but as it turned out, Lord Jing was about to set out for Donglin City. Feng Wu heard it when a steward was chatting with Lord Jing's guards. Feng Wu also received some very important information. It would take a normal person at least a month to get to Donglin City, but there was a portal between the Sun Castle and the city. If they walked through the portal, they would soon reach the city. Chapter 3990 Chapter 3990 Donglin City. Chapter 3990 Donglin City. Feng Wu thought, Isn't it similar to the Junwu Empire's portal? The Junwu Empire also had a portal from Nest to the imperial capital. Because of that portal, it didn't take Feng Wu much effort to travel between Nest and the imperial capital. Feng Wu was secretly elated when she heard the conversation between the guards and the steward. She didn't want to waste her precious time on traveling. If she could use the portal, she would take advantage of it, but she didn't know what it would be like. Feng Wu hid behind a rockery and watched as the guard and the steward parted ways and headed for the living quarters. Feng Wu moved. Feng Wu had reached the peak of the spiritual overlord stage and shouldn't be underestimated. If she was fully equipped, she might even be able to defeat a level I spiritual saint. Therefore, Feng Wu dragged the guard away without hesitation. According to Feng Wu's observation, the guard was a level 9 spiritual overlord at least. The man struggled, but Feng Wu wouldn't let him. She squeezed his tendons. Lord Jing's guard went limp and couldn't even lift a finger. You. His pupils contracted when he saw Feng Wu. It was obvious that she wasn't from Sun Castle. Who on earth was she? However, Feng Wu didn't give him any chance to warn other people. Your name? Feng Wu asked indifferently. However, the person wasn't very cooperative. He kept darting around, looking for an opportunity to run away. Feng Wu smiled a little. She didn't have time for this, so she took out the truth serum and sprayed it in the man's mouth. After Feng Wu's improvements over and over again, the truth serum now looked like a small sprayer. All she needed to do was spray it in the person's face. As expected, after a few puffs of the truth serum, the guard felt dizzy and was in a trance-like state. Just then, Feng Wu said, "Your name." "Jing Wei," the man stressed each word. "Jing Wei." Feng Wu didn't like that name at all. "Your job." "One of Lord Jing's 4 guards." Hence, Feng Wu told the guard to tell her everything he knew. Because Feng Wu had a plan before she caught the guard. She wanted to go to Donglin City to find out the secret of why the Dian Empire wanted to destroy the Junwu Empire. "So, you're going back to Donglin City with Lord Jing, aren't you?" Jing Wei nodded. "Yes." Feng Wu smiled a little. She knew that she had guessed right. "Who's going back this time?" Jing Wei said, "Lord Jing, Senior Ma, and the guards." "Senior Ma? Ma Quan Quan? The top spiritual saint." "Time." An hour later. Feng Wu smiled. "In that case, tell me everything about you, including all your connections and secrets." If Jing Wei were conscious, he wouldn't have told Feng Wu this. Unfortunately, he was drugged. Hence, he told Feng Wu everything. More than half of the time had passed. Seeing that she was running out of time, Feng Wu. Chapter 3991 Chapter 3991 Dongseng, Donglin City, 1. Chapter 3991 Dongseng, Donglin City, 1. Seeing that she was running out of time, Feng Wu knocked the guard out. She then disguised herself as Jing Wei and took off his clothes. Soon, Feng Wu looked exactly like him. As for Jing Wei, naturally, she packed him up and put him in her ring space. That person would be useful in the future. Fearing that she might defile her beautiful master, Feng Wu had prepared a wooden box in a corner of the ring space, so she stuffed the guard into it. After tidying up the place, Feng Wu headed for the courtyard where Lord Jing used to live. As expected, when Feng Wu arrived, Lord Jing and the others had packed up and were ready to leave. One of the guards frowned when he saw Feng Wu. "What time is it now? Why are you still wandering around? Do you need His Royal Highness to wait for you if you can't make it in time? You can't just open a portal. You'll be left here all by yourself." Feng Wu had learned from Jing Wei that the person who had scolded her was Jing Bao, the captain of the guards of Lord Jing's manor. It was easy to remember the names of the 4 guards, for their given names put together meant protect the empire. The 4 guards were called Jing Bao, Jing Jia, Jing Wei, and Jing Guo. The other 3 were all peak level 9 spiritual overlords. As for how capable the captain was, even Jing Wei couldn't tell. Feng Wu couldn't tell what level the man was either. She only knew that he gave her an unfathomable feeling. Had Lord Jing always had these 4 guards? Yes. Because if one of them fell, a new member would replace the dead one, and that new member would inherit the name. Therefore, the 4 guards had changed quite a few times over the years, but the names remained the same. The elite guards were on friendly terms. Hearing this, they tried to mediate the situation. "Brother, it's about time. I think our Lord is coming out." As expected, Lord Jing came out at that moment. He glanced at the guards and asked, "Is everyone here?" Jing Bao threw a dirty look at Feng Wu and told Lord Jing, "Your Royal Highness, everyone is here." Lord Jing waved at him. "Let's go. To the portal." Feng Wu noticed that Jing Bao walked half a meter behind Lord Jing, followed by Jing Jia. As the 3rd brother, Feng Wu quickly followed Jing Jia, and Jing Guo, who had been silent this whole time, was right behind her. Feng Wu had only just arrived and didn't want to stand out. Hence, she kept her ears open and kept her eyes lowered as she tried to memorize everything. She needed Lord Jing's help to get to Donglin City, and she needed to make her way into the upper circle of the Dongseng Kingdom. Only then would she be able to achieve her goal. If she couldn't finish the task, no one in the Junwu Empire would survive 3 months later. Her family, her friends, the people she cared about, and the people she protected would all be crushed by Dian. She would never let that happen. and this task was so dangerous that even Feng Wu wasn't sure that she could complete it. She had to do her best and leave it to fate. For instance, it was already very dangerous for Feng Wu to sneak into Lord Jing's team. Jing Bao was much more capable than her, and Lord Jing was even more so. Feng Wu also saw Ma Quanquan after she met up with the others. He was a peak spiritual saint of Dian. If she made the slightest mistake, she would be crushed to pieces. Chapter 3992, Chapter 3992. Dongsang, Donglin City, 2. Chapter 3992. Dongsang, Donglin City, 2. Let's go, said Ma Quanquan. Because of his special privilege, Lord Jing could use the portal once. Under normal circumstances, the portal would only open once a month. Inside, Feng Wu noticed Ma Quanquan sitting in a corner and cultivating. Lord Jing was Ma Chuanchuan's pupil, so of course, Ma Quanquan had his pupil serve him. Lord Jing told his guards to back off and make some space for him, while he knelt down in front of Ma Quanquan. Ma Quanquan glanced at him and was very satisfied with his humble behavior. Do you have something to ask? Ma Quanquan couldn't help but ask when he saw Lord Jing's expression. Lord Jing asked, Master, does the Empire have to destroy Junwu? Ma Quanquan smiled. So what if the answer is yes? Lord Jing immediately smiled obsequiously. If that's the case, it'll be great. From now on, the Dongsang Kingdom will be invincible on this continent. No other kingdom will be able to threaten our existence. Feng Wu kept her gaze on the ground, but was watching Ma Quanquan from the corner of her eyes. She cared more about the answer than Lord Jing did. Ma Quanquan nodded. Don't worry. Junwu is doomed. Lord Jing grinned. That's great. When the Junwu falls, I'll ask His Majesty to let me run the place. When that happens… Ma Quanquan gave him a strange look. Lord Jing sensed it, so he looked at Ma Quanquan in bewilderment. Master, why are you looking at me like that? It was as if he was looking at an idiot. Ma Quanquan said indifferently, What do you think? Lord Jing scratched his head and was confused. If that happened, the Junwu Empire would be at their mercy. Was there something behind it? Seeing that his silly pupil still couldn't figure it out, Ma Quanquan was worried that Lord Jing would make the request to his king, so he made it clear. When that happens, the Junwu Empire won't exist anymore. What place are you going to run to? Lord Jing said, Master, although Junwu is gone, we still have their land, people, and wealth. Ma Quanquan shook his head. No, they won't be there. Lord Jing was confused. Why is that? Wait, is everything going to Dian? Ma Quanquan shook his head. There will be nothing left. Lord Jing was still confused, but he had a feeling. Seeing that his master had closed his eyes and wouldn't say another word, he didn't dare to disturb him, but he was still very suspicious. Lord Jing couldn't figure it out, but someone as smart as Feng Wu felt a chill run down her spine. If what Ma Quanquan said was true, it meant Junwu would be wiped out. Did he mean that Junwu's people, land, wealth, and everything else would be wiped off the map? Why? Feng Wu was utterly confused. Even if they were defeated and surrendered, the common people should still be able to live. Why would they all be wiped out? Just then, Lord Jing suddenly realized something. Master, are you saying that everyone in the Junwu Empire is going to die? No one is going to live. Ma Quanquan glanced at him and nodded. Feng Wu was astonished. She took a few deep breaths, and Ma Quanquan turned his cold gaze on her. Chapter 3993 Chapter 3993. Dongsang, Donglin City, 3. Chapter 3993. Dongsang, Donglin City, 3. Right now, Feng Wu didn't dare to let anything show on her face. She took a deep breath and buried her astonishment. Luckily, Feng Wu wasn't the only one who was shocked. The other 3 guards and Lord Jing were all in a state of astonishment. Therefore, Ma Quan only glanced at her and didn't pay much attention to her. Lord Jing looked at Ma Quan in astonishment and wanted to ask more, but the peak spiritual saint waved him off. That's a secret. Don't ask. Lord Jing was experienced enough to know that his master didn't want to reveal more. Ma Quan looked at the 4 guards behind him. Lord Jing said, "They've all taken a blood oath. They're loyal to me and won't say a word." Ma Quan nodded and said casually, "If they leak the information, we'll destroy their entire clan." Lord Jing nodded immediately. Yes. Feng Wu could sense the other guards tense up. They were so nervous that they looked like statues. Feng Wu's head spun a little as well. She had thought that it was a serious matter, but now that the peak spiritual saint had told her the truth, Feng Wu realized that it was much more serious than she had expected. Even if the Junwu Empire was defeated this time, they would have a chance to revive. That was what Feng Wu thought at first. However, Ma Chuan's words made it very clear to Feng Wu that this wouldn't happen again. Dian was going to get rid of them all. But why? Wasn't Dian afraid of divine retribution? Feng Wu wanted to ask that question, but she couldn't. She closed her eyes and forced herself to calm down. She knew that there had to be something behind it, something she didn't know. The Junwu Empire was a vast empire, and she was the only one that could save it. Therefore, she had to figure out what was going on. They didn't talk again until they were out of the portal. Feng Wu thought that Ma Quan would go back to Lord Jing's manor with Lord Jing, but he didn't. Ma Quan moved into the imperial palace. Feng Wu asked around and found out that Princess Yanling lived in the imperial palace, and Ma Quan was only there to deal with Feng Xiangnan and the other Junwu elders. It was only normal that he was back with Princess Yanling. Lord Jing went straight to the imperial palace and told the king what had happened. Feng Wu could imagine what Lord Jing would report. Patriarch Huyan had ruined the Dongsang kingdom's plan and delayed it by 3 months. Would the Dongsang king attack the northern Yan kingdom? He didn't dare to do it before, but with the help of Dian, the Dongsang king might actually make a move. The 4 guards were able to follow Lord Jing into the imperial palace, but they could only wait in the long corridor outside when the king and Lord Jing were discussing a matter in the study. Feng Wu could faintly hear the sound of porcelain being smashed. The Dongsang king was furious. Before long, Lord Jing came out, and Feng Wu noticed a wound the size of a baseball on his forehead. Blood was oozing out. Jing Bao quickly handed him a hemostatic pack. Lord Jing's face was livid, and his eyes were wide open. Without another word, he headed for the door. Feng Wu and the others quickly followed him. Chapter 39-94 Chapter 39-94 Noticed by Lord Jing 1. Chapter 39-94 Noticed by Lord Jing 1. Feng Wu and the others quickly followed him. Lord Jing went back to his study and slammed the door when they were back at the manor. The 4 guards looked at one another in bewilderment. In the end, Jing Bao, the head of the guards, said, "Lord Jing is inside. 2 of us should stay here. The other 2 will come back to take over the shift in a few hours. Jing Jia and Jing Wei, you're on guard for the first half of the night." Because of Jing Jia's close relationship with Jing Wei, Jing Bao had never liked them. Hence, he left with Jing Guo. After they left, Jing Jia sighed and whispered, "Lord Jing is in a bad mood now. I'm sure he'll vent his anger on someone. Let's be careful." Feng Wu nodded earnestly. When she lowered her head was spinning. She wasn't here to have fun. She was here for something big. Putting everything else aside, she had to figure out why the Dian Empire wanted to destroy everyone in the Junwu Empire. Only then would she have a chance to figure out a way to solve it. Feng Wu felt a chill run down her spine when she thought about what would happen when Dian attacked the continent on their own. And she had to find her 3rd senior brother. The 3rd broken star piece was with her 3rd senior brother, so she had to find him and get it. With him as her patron, she could go wherever she wanted. However, the two tasks were equally hard. Recalling her capability, Feng Wu sighed inwardly. She used to think that she was very capable, but here in Lord Jing's manor, she was only as good as one of the 4 guards. She couldn't come and go freely in this manner, let alone the Dongsang kingdom. If only she could become a spiritual saint now. Once she reached the spiritual saint stage, she would rise to a whole new level. When that happened, even Lord Jing would have to treat her with great respect. It would be so convenient for her to travel around. What's on your mind? Jing Jia looked curiously at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, the captain's capability. Jing Jia said, he's a spiritual saint. Feng Wu said, I knew it. Jing Jia asked, do you want to become a spiritual saint as well? Feng Wu snapped, what do you mean by that? Everyone wants to become a spiritual saint. Jing Jia said, it's not that. I just don't want you to overthink it. Instead of thinking about such useless things, you should focus on your job. Seeing that Feng Wu wouldn't accept it, he smiled bitterly. Level 9 spiritual overlords are indeed only one level away from the spiritual saint stage, but this gap is like the deepest oceanic trench. How many level 9 spiritual overlords do we have? And how many can rise to the spiritual saint stage? There's a 1% chance. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. The Dongsang kingdom had so many spiritual overlords. Feng Wu nodded. Jing Jia added, many people are stuck at the spiritual overlord stage for the rest of their lives. It's already very rare for someone of your age to have such a cultivation level. Don't even think about it. It's impossible. Feng Wu said, what if I really make a breakthrough? Jing Jia said grumpily, if you really make a breakthrough, I'll do whatever you want me to do. How's that? Tisk, it's impossible, but you're still delusional. I don't know what to say about you. Just then. Chapter 39-95 Chapter 39-95 Noticed by Lord Jing 2. Chapter 39-95 Noticed by Lord Jing 2. Just then. The door opened with a creak. The 2 guards immediately straightened their back. Lord Jing glanced at them coldly. What were you talking about? Feng Wu didn't say anything, so Jing Jia said, my lord, I was only joking with Jing Wei. Lord Jing didn't have much patience. He said coldly, speak. Jing Jia didn't expect Lord Jing to get to the bottom of it, so he said, Jing Wei said that he wanted to become a spiritual saint, but I said that he couldn't do it. Really? Lord Jing turned to Feng Wu. Did you really say that? Feng Wu knew that Lord Jing was on the verge of losing his temper, and it wasn't because of her. Jing Jia kept giving Feng Wu warning glances, telling her to get over it as soon as possible and stop making empty promises. If she couldn't keep her promise, Lord Jing would kill her. However, Feng Wu knew that if she lied to someone as capricious as Lord Jing, he would probably kill her the next moment. Therefore, she had to be honest when dealing with such people. Even if she wasn't, she had to pretend to be. Therefore, Feng Wu lowered her eyes and said in a flustered but calm voice, did say that. I do want to become a spiritual saint as soon as possible. Lord Jing's face was livid, and his eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. Why do you want to become a spiritual saint as soon as possible? Asked Lord Jing casually. Feng Wu said, the Dongsang kingdom is going to war with the Junwu kingdom soon. At this critical moment, if I'm stronger, I'll be able to help you. I just want to protect you. Lord Jing didn't say anything for a while. However, Feng Wu could feel the intense gaze on her. If he realized that something was wrong, he would probably cut her neck open. Lord Jing was a spiritual saint. If he found out that Feng Wu was an impersonator here in the manor, Feng Wu would never be able to get away. Anyone else would have been flustered by the sharp look in his eyes. That was what happened to Jing Jia, whose hands were trembling in his sleeves. All of a sudden, Lord Jing turned his cold gaze on Feng Wu. Look up. Feng Wu slowly looked up. To make herself look like Jing Wei, Feng Wu had to put on an exquisite disguise that included her eye area. If one didn't lift her eyelid, they wouldn't notice that mask. Lord Jing stared at Feng Wu with his soul-stirring eyes. For a moment, Feng Wu thought that she was going to suffocate. As a matter of fact, she had broken into a cold sweat, and it was dripping down her back, almost soaking her clothes. You can withstand my mental pressure? Lord Jing was obviously surprised. Feng Wu pretended that her legs had given out. She stumbled back and almost fell. In terms of mental power, although he was already a spiritual saint, he might not be her match. Good! Lord Jing cried out in surprise. I didn't know that after so many twists and turns, I had a treasure that I didn't know of. Somehow, Feng Wu felt that the laughter was too wild, as if something crazy was hidden in it. Come with me. Lord Jing quickly led the way after that. Chapter 3996 Chapter 3996 Noticed by Lord Jing 3. Chapter 3996 Noticed by Lord Jing 3. Feng Wu and Jing Jia looked at each other, and Jing Jia gave her a concerned look. Be careful. Feng Wu nodded, then followed Lord Jing. Lord Jing was a junior spiritual saint, and Feng Wu wasn't weak either. If they were to fight, Feng Wu might not lose. Lord Jing led Feng Wu into the study. However, the study was only a facade, and inside was a secret room. There was a painting on the wall of the study, and it depicted a man wearing a green robe. Lord Jing slid a finger across a button on his belly. The door to the secret room slowly opened. Lord Jing waved at Feng Wu with a smile. Come with me. Wherever Lord Jing passed, candles lit up in the dark passageway. Instantly, the tunnel was as bright as day. Lord Jing led the way, and Feng Wu quickly followed him. Feng Wu looked around and paid close attention to her surroundings. Soon, a bronze door appeared ahead of them. Lord Jing unlocked it with a special method and entered first. Feng Wu followed him in. As soon as she walked in, Feng Wu sensed a dense spiritual essence coming her way. Lord Jing turned around and gave Feng Wu an indifferent look. Jing Wei, how have I been treating you? Feng Wu immediately feigned a respectful tone and bowed. My lord, of course, you've been very kind to me. I'll always remember that. Are you willing to give up your life for me? Crossing his hands behind his back, Lord Jing raised his chin and stared at Feng Wu arrogantly. Shocked, Feng Wu felt a chill run down her spine. However, Feng Wu was the most level-headed person. She calmed herself down and said, It's my honor to die for you. If Lord Jing dared to kill her, she would kill him before he could do anything. Fortunately, Lord Jing guffawed, and the intimidating energy soon dissipated. Lord Jing smiled. I've carefully chosen you as my guard, and you're very loyal. But you're still one step away from completing the task. I'll only believe you if you can do it. I'll give you a future that'll change your life. Feng Wu didn't care what that future was, but she had to do as Lord Jing said. Lord Jing might sound polite, but if she didn't do as he said, he might try to kill her again. Look ahead of you. This is the essence pool, said Lord Jing. You have good mental strength. Temper it well after you go in. Feng Wu saw that it was more like a wooden tub than a pool. The lid was on the bucket and could be removed at any moment. Feng Wu could see smoke rising out of the gap. And it had already been refined. Feng Wu was amazed. It was an extremely precious liquid that had been purified twice. It wasn't something common spiritual stones or spiritual liquid could compare with. Go in. Lord Jing smiled at Feng Wu. It was obvious that the pool was for Lord Jing himself, but now, he was smiling at her. He had either recognized her and wanted to use this chance to drown her or was using her as an experiment. Because he wasn't sure about the purity and measurement of the liquid. Feng Wu felt the latter was more likely, so. Chapter 39-97 Chapter 39-97 A Spiritual Saint 1. Chapter 39-97 A Spiritual Saint 1. Feng Wu felt it was the latter, so she walked into the bucket without hesitation. Lord Jing stared at her and said in a kind voice, "I've prepared this pool for you. Cultivate well. Don't worry about anything. Just focus on your cultivation. If you can become a spiritual saint in one go, it'll be the greatest reward for me. I don't care how much spiritual liquid you use." Looking at the liquid in the pool, Feng Wu turned to Lord Jing and asked sincerely, "Are you sure you don't mind the cost?" Lord Jing waved his hand. "Use whatever you want and absorb as much as you want. I've been there, and I know better than you that this trip will cost me a lot of spiritual liquid. If you can't make a breakthrough, you won't be able to absorb much even if you want to. Don't worry. Even if you absorb all the spiritual liquid, I won't blame you." Lord Jing thought, "How can you absorb that much? I only absorbed a shallow layer. Who do you think you are? Are you more talented than me?" The more one absorbed, the more talented they had to be. Feng Wu nodded at those words, but she still had to show her gratitude. Lord Jing waved him off. "Go back to your cultivation. I'll wait for you in the cultivation room next door." After that, he put his hands behind his back and waddled off. Lord Jing was over the moon. Either way, it was a win-win situation for him. If Jing Wei succeeded, they would have another spiritual saint in the Jing manor. His Majesty would be so happy. If Jing Wei failed, well, it was only natural that he would fail. Success was almost impossible. If he failed, it would mean that the concentration of the liquid wasn't good enough, and Lord Jing could make some adjustments. Jing Wei would be an excellent test subject. What was the harm of that? No matter what, it was still a win-win situation. While Lord Jing went to the room next door, humming a tune, Feng Wu started cultivating. Meanwhile, the other two guards, Jing Bao and Jing Guo, were on their way to change shift. They were surprised when they saw that the Lord wasn't here and that Jing Jiao was alone. "Where's Lord Jing?" Jing Bao asked anxiously. Jing Jiao smiled bitterly. "He left." Jing Bao said, "Aren't you supposed to be on duty? Why didn't you stay with Lord Jing? Why did you let him leave? You're not worth it." Jing Jia didn't know what to say. "Where's Jing Wei?" Jing Bao asked anxiously. "Lord Jiang wasn't here, nor was Jing Wei. Lord Jing took him away," Jing Jia stammered. "Why did His Grace leave with him alone? What happened?" Jing Bao asked. Jing Jia had no choice but to tell her what happened. "What?" Jing Bao stared at Sapphiro in astonishment. "Are you saying that Jing Wei said he wanted to become a spiritual saint?" Jing Jia nodded. Jing Bao snorted. "Who the hell does he think he is? He can't make a breakthrough just because he wants to. He's only a level 9 spiritual overlord. It'll take him decades to make that breakthrough." Jing Bao was the only spiritual saint among the guards, but Jing Wei was so ambitious. "So, His Grace took him inside to cultivate?" Jing Bao frowned. Jing Jia nodded. Chapter 39-98 Chapter 39-98 A Spiritual Saint 2. Chapter 39-98 A Spiritual Saint 2. Jing Bao stared at Jing Jia with a livid face. He was supposed to be the Lord's most trusted man, but, before Feng Wu knew it, Jing Bao already hated her. "But he can't make a breakthrough to the spiritual saint stage." Jing Bao smirked. Jing Bao wasn't the only one. The other two shook their heads as well, saying that Jing Wei was making things up. Meanwhile, Feng Wu wasn't so sure either. She had been using the spiritual liquid of the Junwu Empire for her cultivation. The spiritual liquid of the Dongsang Kingdom was fundamentally different from that of the Junwu Empire, and Feng Wu was worried that it would make her cultivation less efficient. However, when she really started cultivating, She realized that the magical soul vine would filter the energy of the Dongsang kingdom and provide her with a purer spiritual essence. That only made it easier for Feng Wu. Feng Wu had been making rapid breakthroughs before, so she thought that she could improve her cultivation level a little. However, she didn't expect to make any breakthroughs for the time being. However, with the help of the magical soul vine, Feng Wu could sense her spiritual essence rising. And the speed was uncontrollable. Seriously, Feng Wu couldn't believe that she could become a spiritual saint just by saying that she wanted to make a breakthrough. Everyone wanted to become a spiritual saint. Once she made a breakthrough, with Feng Wu's talent, she would be able to walk freely in the Dongsang kingdom. At that thought, Feng Wu grew excited. The agitation backfired on her spiritual essence. Cough, cough. Feng Wu coughed violently. The spiritual essence around her was disturbed as well. After sensing the chaotic spiritual essence fluctuation in the room next door, Lord Jean looked disappointed and heaved a sigh. It seemed that his guard wouldn't make it. However, he didn't expect to succeed, so he wasn't too disappointed. Jing Wei was only a test subject. What he didn't know was. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was rapidly absorbing the spiritual essence in the spiritual liquid. The water had barely reached her chin when she sat down, but now, the level of the spiritual liquid was falling at an unbelievable speed. It dropped from Feng Wu's neck to her shoulders, then to her waist. Feng Wu could sense that she had become a spiritual saint. But it wasn't enough. She was still absorbing the spiritual essence. Feng Wu panicked a little. Wasn't it a bad idea to make breakthroughs so fast? However, she then recalled that after obtaining the vast essence pill from her sixth senior brother, her physical fitness had been enhanced. Maybe this time she would be able to make a breakthrough. Here in Donglin City, the more capable she was, the better. Hence, Feng Wu gritted her teeth and started absorbing the spiritual essence again. The magical soul vine absorbed all the impurities when the spiritual essence went through it, and the appropriate concentration was transferred to Feng Wu's dantian. The spiritual essence then flowed through her body over and over again. The stagnant spiritual liquid decreased again. It dropped from Feng Wu's belly all the way to her legs until the pool was empty. But it still wasn't enough. She was so close. The floor of the spiritual liquid pool was made of spiritual bricks as well. And the spirit stones on the shelf that hadn't been purified yet. Feng Wu's frantic power drained them all. Chapter 39-99 Chapter 39-99 A Spiritual Saint 3 Chapter 39-99 A Spiritual Saint 3 Rumble. The familiar sound of a breakthrough rang out again. Feng Wu almost jumped to her feet. A Level 2 Spiritual Saint. She had just become a Level 2 Spiritual Saint. Feng Wu was so excited that she was almost in tears. God was so kind to her. He had given her the power she desperately needed when she needed it the most. A Level 2 Spiritual Saint. Feng Wu was invincible among her peers and could defeat opponents of a higher cultivation level. Now she could fight a junior spiritual saint. How amazing! The noise was so loud that Lord Jing rushed in, and what he saw was Feng Wu stood in the spiritual liquid pool and was surrounded by a mess. No, there was no spiritual liquid pool. The spiritual liquid had dried up, and even the bricks and piles of spirit stones on the ground had turned into white powder. You! Lord Jing stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. You! Feng Wu opened her eyes as well and saw what was going on. One look and she knew that things were getting out of hand. Feng Wu cleared her throat. Lord Jing stared at Feng Wu. Don't tell me that you're a Level I spiritual saint now. Level I spiritual saint? What was that? She was a Level 2 spiritual saint now. On second thought, Feng Wu realized that she had to do a lot of things in secret from now on, so she decided that she shouldn't reveal her real capability to Lord Jing. She had to keep a card up her sleeves. At that thought, Feng Wu nodded and said, "Yes, I'm a level-I spiritual saint now." Lord Jing was baffled. He couldn't understand how the guard could have succeeded. That wasn't possible. "Why should I believe you?" Lord Jing frowned. Feng Wu opened her palm, and a streak of sword energy flew unhurriedly toward Lord Jing. Lord Jing observed it. It was indeed the spiritual essence of a level-I spiritual saint. Before Lord Jing could react, Feng Wu bowed and said, "My lord, this pool of spiritual liquid and these spirit stones are all my fault." Lord Jing had been elated, but hearing Feng Wu's question, he shifted his attention to that subject as well. He looked around. What a mess. This was his cultivation room, and he had spent a lot of time and effort preparing all the materials that would enable him to rise from a level-I spiritual saint to a level 2 one. Who would have thought? Lord Jing wanted to flare up, but he couldn't. He only stood there with a grim face. Feng Wu put on a pitiful, trembling face. Seeing that a level-I spiritual saint was so intimidated by him, Lord Jing was appeased. He feigned a magnanimous tone and patted Feng Wu on the shoulder. "I'm so glad that you've made a breakthrough. That's the most important thing now. I'll get everything ready later." Feng Wu said excitedly, "Thank you, my lord. I promise I'll do my best for you from now on." Lord Jing nodded and liked Feng Wu even more. He had really made a breakthrough, although Lord Jing had lost a lot of treasures in the process. The spiritual liquid inside cost him almost half of the wealth of the Jing Manor. However, it was still worthwhile to have a level-I spiritual saint as a subordinate. At that thought, Lord Jing said indifferently, "Fine. Follow me out." He had to show off. Chapter 4000 My Spiritual Saint Guard 1. Chapter 4000 My Spiritual Saint Guard 1. Lord Jing was ready to show off. The guard had used up a lot of his spiritual liquid. The thought made Lord Jing's stomach lurch, but he could only feign a happy face. What else could he do? Reprimand the guard and drive him away? He was a rare spiritual saint now. Lord Jing smiled reluctantly and patted Feng Wu on the shoulder. Feng Wu wanted to laugh whenever she thought about what was really going on in Lord Jin's head, but she fought back her laughter and said respectfully, "My lord, I'm borrowing your spiritual liquid, and I'm going to sell my life to you. You can use it however you want. I'll pay you back." That cheered Lord Jing up. The spiritual liquid was a dead thing, but a person wasn't. Lord Jing could enslave a spiritual saint for the rest of his life. That was a sweet deal. At that thought, Lord Jing nodded with a smile. "Good, very good." When they came out, they ran into the other 3 guards. Jing Bao's face darkened when he saw Lord Jing come out of the study with Jing Wei. It had always been his duty to follow Lord Jing around alone. Since when was it the 3rd guard's turn? He threw a dirty look at Jing Wei. Just wait when Lord Jing was gone. Just then, Lord Jing looked up and saw Jing Bao. He smiled at the latter before heading for the bedchamber. Jing Bao stopped Feng Wu with a ferocious look in his eyes. By the way, Lord Jing turned around and glanced at Jing Bao. "Raise his pay level to the same as you. A promotion." Although Jing Bao was a guard, he was a powerful spiritual saint, so he had his own courtyard, cultivation room, but why could Jing Wei have them as well? Lord Jing left without giving an explanation. However, Jing Bao only stared at Feng Wu. Why? Feng Wu wasn't intimidated by the fierce look in his eyes at all. All she could think of was what she could do with his rage. Why? Jing Bao grabbed Feng Wu by the collar, and blue veins popped on his face. Feng Wu rolled her eyes and knew what to do. Lord Jing. Did he think his life would be so easy? She wanted to destroy the Jing Manor first. Feng Wu frowned a little. "Put me down first." Of course, Jing Bao wouldn't do that. However, Feng Wu reached out and grabbed his arm. The pain made Jing Bao stare at Feng Wu in bewilderment. How is that possible? He gritted his teeth and asked angrily. He thought he knew how capable Jing Wei was slash. You're just a level 9 spiritual overlord. Why? Feng Wu tightened her grip. Jing Bao felt that his entire arm had gone numb. He exerted all his strength, and blue veins popped all over his body. Jing Jia and Jing Guo were both anxious, but there was nothing they could do. They stared at Feng Wu in astonishment as well. Jing Wei should be a level 9 spiritual overlord, but why couldn't Jing Bao, a junior spiritual saint, defeat him? To their further astonishment, the next second, Feng Wu threw Jing Bao's hand off. Just like that. The contrast between their power was obvious. Aren't you a level 9 spiritual overlord? Jing Bao stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Chapter 4001 Chapter 4001 My Spiritual Saint Guard 2 Chapter 4001 My Spiritual Saint Guard 2 Aren't you a level 9 spiritual overlord? Jing Bao stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Feng Wu glanced at him. A level 9 spiritual overlord? I'm not one anymore. Jing Bao looked as if he knew what was going on. Meanwhile, the other 2 guards were also staring at him in astonishment. Jing Jia, the second best guard, said, You were a level 9 spiritual overlord before you went in with the Lord because you said you wanted to become a spiritual saint. How could you? The spiritual saint stage. Although a level I spiritual saint and a level 9 spiritual overlord were only 1 level apart, the difference was like heaven and earth. How did you do it? Why did you make a breakthrough? Jing Bao pressed. Feng Wu already had a plan. Hence, she put on an innocent face and said, I didn't do it. How could I possibly do it? Jing Bao asked again. How did you do it then? Feng Wu said, Well, that. Jing Bao bellowed, Speak. Feng Wu said, Actually, I really have to thank Lord Jing. If he hadn't prepared so many spiritual liquid and spiritual stones, or if he hadn't taught me in person, I might not become a spiritual saint for the rest of my life. I'll stay loyal to him forever. Jing Bao only heard the first half of what Feng Wu said. Why is Lord Jing so nice to you? Why did he prepare so much spiritual liquid for you? And why did he give you instructions himself? Jing Bao stared at Feng Wu. Lord Jing had never given him any instructions when he made his breakthrough, nor had he provided him with any spiritual liquid. Jing Bao couldn't stand it anymore. That was Feng Wu's plan. She wanted to make Jing Bao feel mistreated. Most people had similar feelings. They wouldn't have thought much of it if Lord Jing hadn't given anyone the spiritual liquid, but Feng Wu was playing Jing Wei, who had gained Lord Jing's favor. Moreover, she looked so innocent and matter-of-fact, which only made Jing Bao angrier. Feng Wu knew how resentful Jing Bao felt, for she knew that he had spent all the wealth he had accumulated over the years to become a spiritual saint. Moreover, he had owed a lot of money. He wanted to find an explanation that he could accept. But Feng Wu was doing it on purpose to upset him, and he wasn't going to get what he wanted. She was here to stir up trouble. Feng Wu looked perfectly innocent. Debt? No, I don't have any. Lord Jing told me to relax and work on my cultivation. If I have a chance to make a breakthrough, he'll help me. Jing Bao clenched his fists in frustration. Feng Wu sighed. I've absorbed all the spiritual liquid in the secret room of Lord Jing's study. Captain, I'm afraid you'll have to prepare more for me. Jing Bao was astonished. He had extracted the liquid from the spiritual stones himself and had to work for a whole year to finish it. But, you've used it all? Feng Wu said guiltily, That's right. I'm so sorry. Jing Bao's face turned livid. He threw a dirty look at Feng Wu and smirked. If that's the case, I'd like to see how capable you are now that you've absorbed so much spiritual essence. Bring it on. The third best guard had also risen to the spiritual saint stage, and Jing Bao still needed to demonstrate his ability. Chapter 4002 Chapter 4002 My Spiritual Saint Guard 3. Chapter 4002 My Spiritual Saint Guard 3. Feng Wu looked terrified and waved her hands repeatedly. Of course you're the best. You're the best. However, the look on her face infuriated Jing Bao again. The captain said angrily, "Shut up and fight me." Feng Wu waved her hands repeatedly. "No, of course not. I'm not your match." Without another word, the captain struck down at Feng Wu. Thump! They exchanged blows. "Captain, please forgive him." Jing Jia had always been on friendly terms with Jing Bao. He felt that even if Jing Wei had become a spiritual saint, he had only just become one. There was no way that he could be as capable as the captain of the guards. He tried to plead for mercy, but the captain stumbled back before he could finish. However, Jing Wei remained on his spot. Shocked, Jing Bao stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. "Jing Wei, you!" Feng Wu's aim now was to enrage Jing Bao, so she put on an innocent face. I didn't mean to." Jing Bao was furious. Again. As he spoke, he drew out the sword on his back. Feng Wu waved her hands in a hurry. "Don't get serious. You really can't." However, Feng Wu still drew out her sword in the end. Jing Bao's sword was soon broken. The two onlookers were speechless. Of Konark he wouldn't give an hilt, he also knew that Ting Wei was already more capable than him. Damn it. Just wait and see. Sensing that he had lost his authority, he pointed at Feng Wu and stormed off after that. Jingwa glanced at Feng Wu and quickly followed the captain. Meanwhile, Jing Jia looked at Feng Wu in astonishment. You've already surpassed the captain?" Feng Wu shrugged, pretending that she didn't know what was going on either. "I don't know why this is happening. I think it's all thanks to Lord Jing." The captain, who had yet to leave Feng Wu's sight, was so angry that he almost fainted. "Captain," Jingwa looked concerned. Jing Bao couldn't take it anymore. Why did that happen? He's a guard, but so am I. I'm the captain of the guards. Why did Lord Jing only give him pointers, and why was he the only one getting the liquid? And there's more to it. It's not as simple as it seems. Lord Jing is only a level I spiritual saint. What can he possibly teach? Can he make someone more capable than him? So, Lord Jing must have given Jing Wei something precious. He was filled with resentment toward Lord Jing. Normally, he wouldn't do this. Even if he wanted to vent his anger on the Lord, he would do it when no one was around. However, Feng Wu had really pissed him off this time. He had no idea that Feng Wu was doing this on purpose. Feng Wu had everything under control, and he would be furious if he knew that. "I won't accept this." Jing Bao clenched his fist. Jingwa wouldn't accept it either. Jing Wei used to be the weakest of the four guards. Although Jingwa was the fourth, he was slightly more capable than Jing Wei. He had defeated the latter in the previous competition. But Lord Jing was so biased now. Chapter 4003 Chapter 4003 Jean Tianyi the Young Prince 1. Chapter 4003 Jean Tianyi the Young Prince 1. Jing Bao glanced at Jingwa. "You're much more capable and talented than Jing Wei. If you can use that pool of liquid, you'll be more accomplished and capable than Jing Wei, but Lord Jing only favors Jing Wei." Jingwa clenched his fists and was filled with hatred. Jing Bao still wouldn't let it drop. "I'll go to reason with Lord Jing." "I'm coming with you." Jingwa quickly followed her. The captain wasn't so direct when he met Lord Jing. He was more tactful. Lord Jing said, "Really? Do you mean Jing Wei? Haha, he's a good kid. He's talented and has a good temperament. As the captain of the guards, you have to treat him well. Don't pick on him. Got it?" The captain was speechless. Lord Jing asked, "Anything else?" Despite his resentment, the captain shook his head. Lord Jing waved at them. "All right. You can leave now. Jing Bao and Jing Guo left the room, closing the door behind them. Jing Guo was the younger one and couldn't control his temper. I can tell that Lord Jing is biased toward him. Jing Bao remained silent with a livid face. Boss, Lord Jing is completely on his side now, and he's as capable as you are. Your position as the captain. Jing Guo glanced at Jing Bao as he spoke. Jing Bao glared at him, and Jing Guo immediately stopped talking. Jing Bao went back to his room and wrote a letter. What Jing Bao didn't know was that Jing Wei already knew his secret, but he didn't dare to tell anyone before. Feng Wu used the truth serum, and Jing Wei revealed everything. As it turned out, the captain of the guards was a pawn that the king had put in Lord Jing's residence. Meanwhile, Feng Wu. She left the courtyard and pretended to take a walk. Soon, she ran into Jing Tianyi, Lord Jing's son. He was the only son of Lord Jing, so of course Lord Jing doted on him. Hence, he gave his son a name that meant he was at the top of the world. Needless to say, Feng Wu had learned about Jing Tianyi from Jing Wei. No one knew what Feng Wu was going to do in Donglin City. No one knew how much trouble the Dongseng Kingdom would have because of the girl. Right now, the teenage girl was walking around the manor in disguise as a capable guard of the Jing Manor. A colorful bird was flying in the sky. Needless to say, it was Little Phoenix. Get me my bow. Now. Under the moonlight, a chubby 7-year-old was shouting in excitement. When he was playing in the garden, a bird pecked at him. Not only that, but it had also peed on his head. Ah! Infuriated, Jing Tianyi shouted, "Shoot the bird down, now!" The young prince had 4 guards with him. Although they weren't spiritual saints, they were still peak spiritual overlords. That was to say, the Dongseng Kingdom had more capable cultivators than the Junwu Empire. One of them ran back to find the young prince's bow, while the other 3 went to catch Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix was as capable as they were. Chapter 4004 Chapter 4004 Jing Tianyi the Young Prince, 2. Chapter 4004 Jing Tianyi the Young Prince, 2. It had been there when Feng Wu became a spiritual saint, and it was so close that it could make the breakthrough at any moment. It had been cultivated in seclusion to make a breakthrough, but Feng Wu had brought it here to play the part. Catch it, now! Jing Tianyi stomped his foot anxiously, and his round body looked like a ball. Lord Jing doted on the boy and would do anything to please his son. He would spare no effort to provide him with the best things in the world. Hence, the 4 guards didn't dare to defy the young lord's order. They all tried their best to catch Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix led the 3 guards around the manor, as if it were playing hide and seek. Of course, Feng Wu wouldn't do anything. She hid in the dark, for it was a very important part of her plan. Jing Bao, the captain of the guards, and Jing Tianyi, the younger prince, were her pawns. Little Phoenix flew around in circles and soon arrived at Jing Bao's courtyard. Just then, Little Phoenix spotted a white pigeon and flew in that direction. You sure know where you're going. Grabbing his bow, the young prince tried to shoot the bird. Little Phoenix flew away, but the white pigeon was hit. The arrow pierced through the pigeon, and it was dead before it hit the ground. The young prince didn't even look at the pigeon. He was going to chase Little Phoenix, but to his surprise, the bird with the colorful tail was gone. It's gone? How? Why is it gone? Did I give it permission? The young prince shouted arrogantly. Find it, everyone! Find this bird, or I'll kill you! The young prince said angrily. Just then, the young prince's favorite guard picked up the pigeon. Wait! He cried out. My lord, that's a messenger pigeon, and it has a letter tube tied to its leg. After that, he handed the bamboo tube to the young prince. He was so excited because this discovery might atone for his crime. The young prince was a child, and could be easily distracted. So, if they changed the subject, maybe the younger prince would. But the young prince wasn't in the mood now. He said angrily, "What pigeon? I don't need a pigeon." Yang Fu smiled bitterly. "My lord, your father is the only one in this manor who can send a messenger pigeon. What if it's an emergency?" The young prince frowned. Looking up, he saw that the colorful bird was indeed gone, so he said angrily, "Then prepare another pigeon and send this letter. Why bother me with such a petty thing? You're useless." He turned to leave after that. Yang Fu smiled bitterly. But the pigeon is dead, and we don't know where it's going. This is so annoying." The young prince waved his chubby hand and said, "Give it to me. Let me see what it says. I'll know where to send it after I read it." Yang Fu said, "But if your father knows about this, I'm afraid." The young prince threw a dirty look at him. "I'm my father's only son. He's not going to kill me." Chapter 4005 Chapter 4005 Jing Tianyi the Young Prince 3. Chapter 4005 Jing Tianyi the Young Prince 3. Yang Fu didn't know what to say, so he handed the letter to the young prince. The young prince impatiently opened the letter, unfolded it, and casually glanced through it. One look and he was dumbfounded. Rubbing his eyes, he looked again and saw that the handwriting hadn't changed. That was to say, he wasn't seeing things. "My lord! My lord!" the guards reminded him in a low voice. Jing Tianyi looked up at a manor a short distance away, and his face darkened. The next moment, he waved his hand and said, "That's enough. Let's go back. Take this pigeon away and clean this place. No one is to know that I killed a pigeon today. Got it?" The young prince wasn't a complete idiot. When he straightened his face, he still looked very authoritative. "Yes." The guards exchanged looks of bewilderment. It seemed that something had really happened. Meanwhile, the young prince ran off to find Lord Jing. No one knew what the father and son were talking about in the room, but one thing was for sure: Lord Jing was furious that night. After that, Lord Jing patted his son on the shoulder. "Kiddo, I've underestimated you. Good job." This was the first time that his father had complimented him like this, and Jing Tianyi was over the moon. Clenching his fists, he decided that he would do something else to impress his father. The following day. "Come with me." Lord Jing pointed at Feng Wu and said indifferently. "Yes," Feng Wu said in a hurry. There were 4 guards in total, but he only mentioned Jing Wei's name. Feng Wu stole a glance at Jing Bao, the captain of the guards. As expected, he was so angry that he had clenched his fist. Feng Wu noticed that Lord Jing also glanced at Jing Bao out of the corner of his eye, but his face didn't betray anything. As expected of the merciless Lord Jing, he didn't even bat an eyelash. After leaving the manor, Lord Jing took Feng Wu to the Crown Prince's residence. "His Royal Highness is cultivating and won't see anyone. My lord, please leave." After entering the Crown Prince's residence, Lord Jing couldn't see Night Owl. Instead, he saw Gong Ming, Night Owl's personal guard. Just like Jun Linyuan, Night Owl, the Crown Prince, was also living outside the palace. Feng Wu wondered if the Dongsang King trusted his son as much as Emperor Wu trusted Jun Linyuan. When the Crown Prince left the Imperial Palace to build his own residence, it was very likely that the Crown Prince would become allies with the officials, which would weaken the king's authority. After all, the king was old, but the courtiers were all ambitious. Night Owl's senior guard used to be Xiao, but unfortunately, Jun Linyuan killed him in the Battle of Northern Yen. Therefore, Night Owl had to find a new senior guard. Lord Jing frowned a little. "His Royal Highness hasn't come out of seclusion yet? He must have been doing it for a while." Gong Ming didn't say a word because he was usually an aloof figure. Lord Jing frowned again. "Do you know when he'll come out?" Gong Ming shook his head. "His Royal Highness didn't leave a message. He only said that no one was to disturb him. He's cultivating a formidable technique. Lord Jing asked. A formidable skill? From the Dian Empire? Has he met any of them? Gong Ming shook his head. No. Lord Jing rubbed his chin and was lost in his thoughts. What kind of formidable skill was it? Where did it come from? Standing in the manor, Feng Wu looked as calm as ever, but deep down. Chapter 4006 Chapter 4006 Whose Man? Chapter 4006 Whose Man? Feng Wu was already surprised. So, this was Night Owl's manor. He had built a manor outside the palace as well. Did the Dongseng king trust him as well? What was going on with his unparalleled skill? To Feng Wu, Night Owl had always been an unlucky person. Whether it was the explosion when he held Jun Linyuan in his arms, or the fact that she had made him bedridden, Feng Wu found the crown prince to be rather unlucky. But what was that unparalleled technique about? Just then, footsteps came from inside. Hearing footsteps, Lord Jing, who had been sipping tea in his armchair, rose to his feet and looked in the direction of the door. As expected. Your Royal Highness, Lord Jing said cheerfully. Night Owl smiled when he saw Lord Jing. Uncle, you seem to know that I'm out of seclusion today. Have you been waiting for me? Seeing Night Owl's smile, Lord Jing knew that Night Owl had made a breakthrough. Who can predict that? But I'm indeed very lucky. Feng Wu stood next to Lord Jing and listened attentively. Wait. The more Feng Wu listened, the more uneasy she felt. According to Jing Wei, the relationship between Lord Jing and Night Owl was only SOSO in front of outsiders. However, from their private interaction, Feng Wu could tell that they were very close. However, it was probably because Jing Wei wasn't qualified enough, and Jing Bao had been following Lord Jing around. If that was the case, Feng Wu's plan would be much easier to carry out. She was going to play a big game here in Dongseng City. Lord Jing, Night Owl, and the king of the Dongseng Kingdom would all be her pawns. The Dongseng Kingdom was like a chessboard, but she was only a guard. It was almost an impossible game. However, Feng Wu was very confident in her plan. Just then, Lord Jing asked Night Owl about the so-called peerless skill. Feng Wu pricked up her ears. Speaking of which, Night Owl had only just started talking when he spotted Feng Wu. He frowned. Is Jing Bao not here today? Hearing Jing Bao's name, Lord Jing's face darkened. Night Owl frowned. What happened? Lord Jing smacked the table and said angrily, Do you know who Jing Bao works for? Night Owl paled a little. Lord Jing used to take Jing Bao with him when he came here, and Jing Bao had heard everything they said. Leave us. Lord Jing glanced at Feng Wu. Although she had left, Little Phoenix was still there. Because Little Phoenix could turn invisible, it was sitting in a chair opposite the two men and watching them curiously. It was broadcasting the whole thing to Feng Wu. Jing Bao? Who's he working for? Night Owl gritted his teeth. It seemed that Jing Bao wasn't on Lord Jing's side. Lord Jing pointed at the sky. His Majesty? My father. Night Owl jumped to his feet. Lord Jing sighed inwardly and nodded. His Majesty's man? Since when did he become His Majesty's man? What about our conversation? Night Owl put his hands behind his back and paced around the room anxiously. Chapter 4007 Chapter 4007 The Arrogant Princess 1 Chapter 4007 The Arrogant Princess 1 Lord Jing softened a little and said, Luckily, I didn't tell him about our secret. We've only been seeing each other a little. It's not a big deal. Night Owl stared at him. Are you sure? Lord Jing said, My lord, His Majesty has allowed you to have an independent residence because he trusts you. Don't panic. Night Owl calmed down and nodded. That's right. Lord Jing changed the subject. By the way, what's that amazing skill you talked about? Have you succeeded? Night Owl gloated at the mention of that. Who do you think I am? How can I fail? Lord Jing said, so, it's… Night Owl didn't dare to say anything. It was an indescribable pain, but the advancement had indeed made him much more confident. Night Owl said, don't ask. By the way, how's the war going? Lord Jing shook his head and told him about Patriarch Huyen's participation in the battle. Night Owl frowned. Why would he join the war? Does he have connections with the Junwu Empire? Why would he help them? Lord Jing shook his head and was equally confused. The Patriarch said that he only did it because a young friend asked for his help, and the deadline is 3 months. We'll do it after that and he won't interfere. Night Owl asked, are you sure? Lord Jing said, I heard it with my own ears. Night nodded. If that's the case, it's doable. As for this young friend, Uncle, who do you think it is? Lord Jing said, Jun Lin Yuan? Night Owl's face turned livid. Lord Jing smiled bitterly. I don't want it to be him, but apart from him, I don't think there's anyone else in this world that can do such a thing. Night Owl smirked. So what if Patriarch Huyen thinks highly of him? I'll kill him in 3 months. Lord Jing was curious. Your current skill. Night Owl said, I'll surpass him in 3 months. Don't worry. Just then, they heard a voice outside. It was Gong Ming. Princess Yen Ling is here to see you. The fact that Princess Yen Ling was here to see him was proof enough of her status. Moreover, before Night Owl could say anything, a pleasant voice rang out. This room is crowded. What's going on here? Princess Yen Ling sat down opposite them and played with a red fruit in her hand. She didn't seem to think much of the 2 influential figures of the Dongsang kingdom. Of course, Lord Jing wouldn't blame her because his master was Ma Quanquan, who worked for Yen Ling's family. Lord Jing smiled. Princess Yen Ling, I didn't expect to see you here. Sorry for not greeting you earlier. Night Owl had known Princess Yen Ling since they were little. Although communication between the 2 continents was very difficult, Princess Yen Ling had begged Ma Quanquan to bring her here when she was little. She had grown up with Night Owl, but the Crown Prince didn't like Princess Yen Ling very much. Because when Princess Yen Ling looked at them, to be more precise, Princess Yen Ling looked down upon everyone on this continent in a condescending manner. Night Owl frowned at the thought of that attitude. And she was doing it again. Chapter 4008 Chapter 4008 The Arrogant Princess 2 Chapter 4008 The Arrogant Princess 2 Princess Yen Ling glanced at Lord Jing before looking at Night Owl again. What? Does the Crown Prince have a problem with me? Am I not welcome here? Princess Yen Ling said indifferently, but there was no warmth in her eyes. Lord Jing glanced at Night Owl. Night Owl was furious, but he still smiled coldly. Of course not. It's my honor. Good. Otherwise, I would have thought that I was an unwelcome guest. Princess Yen Ling chuckled. By the way, what were you talking about? Lord Jing immediately said, Nothing. We were just talking about His Royal Highness' phenomenal success. A phenomenal success? Princess Yen Ling was intrigued. Rising to her feet, she walked around Night Owl and asked, What is it? Are you very capable? Night said, It's nothing. I'm just a little better than you. Crossing her hands behind her back, Princess Yen Ling gave Night Owl a half-smile. Night Owl, why do I feel that you have something against me? Night Owl said indifferently, Of course not. Princess Yen Ling said, I don't think you'll dare either. Night Owl was furious. Princess Yen Ling suddenly raised her voice and stared at him. Night Owl, didn't you tell me that you were the most capable man of your generation? You lied to me. Night Owl's face darkened. Lord Jing intervened. Princess, you're making fun of us. His Royal Highness is indeed the best of the younger generation. Princess Yen Ling glanced at Lord Jing. That's a claim that's only true in the Dongsang Kingdom, isn't it? I've been walking around outside, and they all told me that the king of your continent's younger generation is a teenager named Jun Linyuan. Night Owl's face darkened. Princess Yen Ling sneered at Night Owl. Is Jun Linyuan really more capable than you? Outside, Feng Wu felt embarrassed for Night Owl. Princess Yen Ling had to be here to upset Night Owl, right? As expected, Night Owl's breathing quickened, and he was obviously angry. Lord Jing tried to make peace again. He smiled bitterly. Jun Linyuan is indeed a talented cultivator, but His Royal Highness is as capable as he is. I think they're about the same level. Princess Yen Ling asked, Is that so? Lord Jing immediately said, Princess, you'll be able to see with your own eyes if Jun Linyuan or the Crown Prince is more capable in the final battle 3 months later. Princess Yen Ling glanced at Night Owl and said, Don't think that I don't know what your father is thinking. He wants me to marry you. But Night Owl, the man I want to marry has to be the strongest. Even if he's not the most capable cultivator of the Dian Empire, he has to be the most capable young man on this continent. If you can't even defeat Jun Linyuan, you're not qualified to marry me. Night Owl had had enough of this condescending attitude. He smirked and said, You can marry whomever you want. Do you think I want to marry you? That was the wrong thing to say. Princess Yen Ling wasn't provoked. She only stared at Night Owl and suddenly smiled. Don't tell me you think that without the Dian Empire's help, the Dongsang Kingdom could have suppressed the Junwu Empire all these years. Chapter 4009 Chapter 4009 The Arrogant Princess 3 Chapter 4009 The Arrogant Princess 3 You! Night Owl glared at Princess Yen Ling. Princess Yen Ling smirked. What did I do? Did I say something wrong? Lord Jing intervened. That's enough. Stop quarreling. He grabbed Night Owl's arm. Night Owl was obviously displeased. Princess Yen Ling sneered at him. Lord Jing, am I wrong? Of course, Lord Jing wouldn't be happy. He was from the Dongsang Kingdom. Princess Yen Ling was humiliating the Dongsang Kingdom, which was the same as humiliating him. However, Lord Jing could only smile obsequiously. Princess Yen Ling, you're right. If it hadn't been for the help of the Empire, the Dongsang Kingdom would have. Seeing that Lord Jing had given in, Princess Yen Ling softened a little. She glanced at Night Owl and said arrogantly, You have to admit it, even if you don't want to. Night Owl was furious, but Lord Jing stepped on his foot and silenced him. Seeing this, Princess Yen Ling was even more pleased. Lord Jing immediately changed the subject. Princess, why are you here today? Princess Yen Ling said, Can't I come here when I don't have anything to do? Lord Jing smiled bitterly. Of course. Princess, you can come whenever you want. Princess Yen Ling glanced at Lord Jing as she played with the fruit. Why do I feel that you can make decisions for the Crown Prince's residence? Lord Jing was vexed. Princess Yen Ling was so disrespectful. But Princess Yen Ling was the ambassador of the Empire, and he didn't dare to offend her. Princess, you're making fun of me. Lord Jing could only laugh it off and hoped that Princess Yen Ling wouldn't talk about it anymore. But Princess Yen Ling didn't seem to mind at all. She smiled and said, Actually, His Royal Highness lets his emotions show too easily, and he's too childish. I don't quite trust him when we work together. Night Owl was going to lose his temper again, but Lord Jing was already in front of him. This time, Lord Jing didn't try to laugh it off because he realized that even so, Princess Yen Ling wouldn't stop. Lord Jing said indifferently, Princess, please show some respect to the Dongsang Kingdom. Humiliating the Crown Prince was the same as humiliating the Dongsang Kingdom. Little Phoenix showed Feng Wu the live feed. They're so boring. I don't want to listen to them. I want to sleep and cultivate. Little Phoenix yawned and wanted to come out. It had been coveting Feng Wu's cultivation level for a long time. All it needed to do now was to sleep and cultivate, and it would reach the spiritual saint stage in time. Therefore, it wanted to go back to its ring space. Because of Feng Wu's request, it had to stay awake and take care of all the chores. However, Feng Wu sensed something from Princess Yenling's tone. She immediately communicated with Little Phoenix in her head. No, please don't. Just stay a little longer. Just a little longer. I promise I won't keep you from your cultivation anymore. Please. You're the smartest and wisest Master Phoenix in the universe. Little Phoenix was so pleased with Feng Wu's flattery that it only said proudly, Fine, fine. Since you've begged me, I'll stay a little longer. Just a little longer. Feng Wu said, yes. To Feng Wu's surprise, Princess Yenling. Chapter 4010 Chapter 4010 Night Owl's Story 1 Chapter 4010 Night Owl's Story 1 To Feng Wu's surprise, Princess Yenling was going to reveal such a big secret. Princess Yenling smiled at Lord Jing and said indifferently, I'm not showing the Dongseng Kingdom any respect? Ah. You're the king's only brother, and you're the one who's not showing the Dongseng Kingdom any respect. Lord Jing blanched and his face darkened again. Princess, what do you mean? Lord Jing narrowed his eyes and gave her a warning look. Wait, he was angry. Little Phoenix, who had been dozing off, scrambled to its feet and looked from one face to another. Unfortunately, Lord Jing and the others didn't know that Feng Wu had a mouthpiece in the room. Princess Yenling wasn't threatened at all and grinned. What do you mean? Lord Jing, you know better than I do, don't you? Are you afraid to admit it? Princess Yenling. Lord Jing tried to stop her. Unfortunately, he had underestimated the princess's sense of superiority. Princess Yenling grinned at Night Owl. Don't tell me you don't know that. Night Owl had a dangerous look in his eyes. Princess Yenling took the hint right away. So, you do know. Both Lord Jing and Night Owl stared at her. Lord Jing asked coldly, Princess, what do you know? Please don't hesitate to tell me. Princess Yenling said, If that's what you want, I'll tell you. Princess Yenling grinned at Night Owl. As she ate her fruit, she turned to look at Lord Jing. Why do I feel that His Royal Highness looks a little like you? Instantly the air seemed to freeze. Little Phoenix was dumbfounded. It took it a while to tell Feng Wu what it had heard. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. What was that supposed to mean? Her imagination began to run wild. Meanwhile, Princess Yenling was grinning at Lord Jing. Why do I feel that the two of you look a lot alike? Lord Jing's eyes flickered, but he didn't let it show. Princess, you're so funny. Princess Yenling smiled. I don't tell jokes. Lord Jing was speechless. Night Owl stared at Princess Yenling. Are you done talking? Get lost. Princess Yenling asked, Your Royal Highness, are you chasing me away? Night Owl snorted. Princess Yenling chuckled. If you still don't understand what I mean, I haven't told you enough. Lord Jing said, That's enough, Princess. I don't want to hear such things from other people again. Princess Yenling said, Well, it's negotiable. The two of you really look alike, and have the same temperament. You're both so grumpy. Lord Jing was speechless. Night Owl fell silent. Princess Yenling waved at them. Fine, fine. If you don't want to listen to me, I'll go to someone who will. She rose to her feet and turned to leave after that. Where are you going? Night Owl blocked her way. Princess Yenling grinned at him. To court, of course. I'll talk to Her Majesty. Maybe His Majesty will listen to me if he's here. Chapter 4011 Chapter 4011 Night Owl's Story 2 Chapter 4011 Night Owl's Story 2 Stop! Lord Jing's cold voice rang out behind Princess Yenling. Princess Yenling could sense the murderous intention, but she wasn't intimidated at all. Instead, she was very competitive. How dare the Dongseng Kingdom threaten her? Princess Yen Ling turned around and sneered at Lord Jing. What? Do you want to silence me? Lord Jing and Night Owl blocked her way. Both of them kept their silence and stared at Princess Yen Ling. Princess Yen Ling suddenly chuckled. Do you really think that I've walked into this manor all by myself and said all those things in front of you without leaving any backup plans for myself? Uncle Ma, said Princess Yen Ling. Yes. Ma Chuan's voice came from the roof. Lord Jing and Night Owl's faces turned livid. Ma Quan was Lord Jing's master, but that relationship was only a scheme against the Dongsang kingdom. Princess Yen Ling smiled at him. So, do you think you and the Queen are the only ones who know what you did? Why do you think the Queen gave birth to him? Do you think the Dongsang king wouldn't suspect anything if Dian hadn't been here to clean up your mess? Lord Jing felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Night Owl's face turned livid as well. Seeing this, Princess Yen Ling smirked. Lord Jing, don't you see? You're a dog of the Empire, and the crown prince you're talking about is no more than a puppy. Smack! Night Owl slapped Princess Yen Ling hard. It happened so fast that Lord Jing didn't have time to react. You! Princess Yen Ling glared at Night Owl. How dare you hit me? The next second, Ma Quan was behind her. Uncle Ma, kill him! Princess Yen Ling wanted to kill Night Owl. Although Ma Quan didn't do anything, the murderous look on his face was very intense. Taking a deep breath, Lord Jing fought back his rage. He went up to Ma Quan and knelt down on one knee. Master, please spare my son's life. His son. He had admitted it. Feng Wu was astonished when she heard it from Little Phoenix. It was true. She wasn't imagining things, but it was the truth. The crown prince of the Dongsang kingdom wasn't the Dongsang king's son. Ma Quan said indifferently, "This is the last time." Lord Jing said, "Yes." He grabbed Night Owl and forced him to kneel. Princess Yen Ling snorted. If you hadn't been useful, you would all be dead by now. But Uncle Ma, slap him. Ma Quan was an employee of Lord Yan's residence, so of course, he would follow Princess Yen Ling's order. He struck out with his palm. Night Owl fell back and smashed into the wall. He slumped to the ground and no one knew if he was still alive. Lord Jing was worried sick. Princess Yen Ling smirked. I'm only going to teach him a little lesson. If he dares to offend me again, it won't end so well. Lord Jing wanted to throttle Princess Yen Ling, but he still looked grateful. Chapter 40:12 Chapter 40:12 Night Owl's Story 3 Chapter 40:12 Night Owl's Story 3 Princess Yen Ling waved him off. That's enough. I'm not here to kill you. I just want to make a deal with you. I didn't expect Night Owl to be so reckless. How frustrating. She turned to leave after that. Princess, what do you want to talk about? Lord Jing's voice came from behind her. Are you going to take the throne or not? Asked Princess Yen Ling. Lord Jin's pupils contracted. Princess Yen Ling, on the other hand, had left after throwing the bomb. After she left, Lord Jing quickly went to Night Owl's side and checked his pulse. Outside, Feng Wu was overwhelmed with excitement. She had thought that she was only here to meet Night Owl, but as it turned out, Princess Yen Ling had given her such an important piece of information. With that information, Feng Wu had a lot of room to maneuver. Instantly, Feng Wu was so excited that her cheeks flushed. Therefore, when Princess Yen Ling walked out of the room, she saw that Feng Wu was lost in her thoughts. Who are you? Princess Yen Ling looked at Feng Wu and asked curiously, Have I seen you before? Feng Wu immediately feigned a respectful tone and said to Princess Yen Ling, I'm a guard of Lord Jing. I'm sure you've met me before. Rubbing her chin, Princess Yen Ling suddenly stared at Feng Wu. But why do I feel that it's more than that? Feng Wu looked nervous and didn't answer. Princess Yen Ling suddenly smiled. You're very handsome. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Princess Yenling asked, "Do you want to work for me?" Feng Wu vented her sarcasm inwardly. What was wrong with this princess? Why did she suddenly become her target? She didn't think Jing Wei was that good-looking. Feng Wu smiled bitterly. "I'm Lord Jing's guard, and I'll do as he says." Princess Yenling glanced at Feng Wu and snorted. "Even you won't show me any respect?" Just then, a man walked in. It was Mr. Sakia, whom Feng Wu had defeated. That was mainly because of the ethos of Dian. Not only did the Empire worship the capable cultivators, but they also worshipped the wise ones. Princess Yenling recognized Sakia's wisdom, so she sounded much more respectful. "What are you doing here?" Princess Yenling asked curiously. Mr. Sakia knew Princess Yenling as well, so he said, "I heard that His Royal Highness had come out of his seclusion, so I came here to have a look." Princess Yenling suddenly smiled. "I think he should stay in seclusion for a bit longer." She left after that. Master Bu Jingyu, Mr. Sakia's pupil, frowned and asked, "Why did Princess Yenling look so pleased?" Sakia threw a dirty look at him. Bu Jingyu cringed and didn't dare to speak. Feng Wu let out a breath of relief when she saw Princess Yenling leave. But she still couldn't figure out why Princess Yenling had her eyes on her all of a sudden. Mr. Sakia was the one who answered her question. He glanced at her before turning to Bu Jingyu. "Don't underestimate this princess. She may not be the most capable cultivator, but she has a special ability." Chapter 4013 Blackmail. Chapter 4013 Blackmail. She can smell treasures. Sakia didn't stop talking when he walked past Feng Wu with Bu Jingyu. If someone has a treasure that catches her eye, she'll have her eyes on it and won't let go of it. Therefore, stay away from that princess. Got it? Bu Jingyu nodded. "Yes, master. I'll remember that." Sakia left Bu Jingyu behind, and Gong Ming showed him in. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was lost in her thoughts. Sakia must have seen how Princess Yenling had pressed the guard. Was he giving Jing Wei a hint when he talked to Bu Jingyu? Princess Yenling could smell treasures, and Feng Wu had quite a few on her. Although a lot of things had been stored in the ring, Feng Wu was still wearing the soft armor Jun Linyuan gave her. She also had some pills with her. Feng Wu moved all the things in her ring space. She was even more alarmed by Princess Yenling. Sakia frowned when he saw Night Owl. What happened to His Royal Highness? Of course, Lord Jing couldn't tell Mr. Sakia what had happened because if he did, he wouldn't be able to keep Night Owl's secret. Sakia was only loyal to the Dongsang King, and he would definitely protect the royal bloodline. Therefore, Night Owl wouldn't be the crown prince anymore if the secret got out. Hence, Lord Jing and Night Owl exchanged looks and tried to cover it up. Mr. Sakiva was smart enough to see that something was off, but he also saw that the two men were keeping things from him. He didn't let it show and only replied indifferently. Night Owl cleared his throat. "Mr. Sakia, may I ask why you're here today?" He coughed as he spoke and picked up his teacup. He wanted Sakia to leave. Sakia smiled bitterly, but he said, "I heard that the Junwu Empire and our kingdom are going to have a major battle in 3 months. Is that true?" Night Owl looked at Lord Jing. Lord Jing said, "Hasn't His Majesty told you?" Sakia nodded. "His Majesty has said so, but Lord Jing, you've experienced it in person, so I thought I should ask you." Hence, Lord Jing told Mr. Sakia about the visit of Patriarch Huyan. After that, Lord Jing said, "Jun Linyuan is so well respected that even Patriarch Huyan would help him." Mr. Sakia shook his head. "The young friend that Patriarch Huyan mentioned may not be Jun Linyuan." "Is that so?" Night Owl and Lord Jing looked at Sakia in unison. Mr. Sakia nodded. "I have a suspect." "Who is she?" "Feng Wu." Lord Jing didn't know much about Feng Wu. To be more precise, he didn't remember Feng Wu at all. Night Owl knew who Feng Wu was because Feng Wu had tricked him more than once. She was the reason that he had been bedridden for so long. Little Feng Wu? Night Owl frowned at Sakia. Why do you think it's her? Do you have any proof? Sakia said, the method of elimination. Have you heard about Jun Linyuan's battle in the northern Yen kingdom? Night Owl and Lord Jing nodded. Night Owl said, I thought it was Jun Linyuan because I saw him fighting in northern Yen. Chapter 4014 Chapter 4014 Who's the Young Friend? Chapter 4014 Who's the Young Friend? Mr. Sakia said, if Patriarch Huyen really is Jun Linyuan's friend, why didn't he intervene in such a dangerous situation? Jun Linyuan was almost killed. Night Owl frowned. Mr. Sakia said, Your Royal Highness, you saw the battle. I had a water screen as well and recorded it. He took a crystal ball out of his sleeve as he spoke. Unfortunately, the recording in this crystal ball can only be played once. Take a closer look. With a wave of his hand, Mr. Sakia projected the battle between Jun Linyuan and the others onto the white wall. Meanwhile, Little Phoenix also told Feng Wu what happened inside. Feng Wu was surprised. It was no wonder that the Dongsang Kingdom was said to be more advanced than other kingdoms on this continent. They had such a screen that could see the battle of the northern Yen Kingdom from so far away. If Night Owl could see it, so could Mr. Sakiv. What about the Dongsang King? At that thought, Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. She told Little Phoenix to keep an eye on it for her, and she couldn't miss any of their conversation. Little Phoenix had been playing cute and slacking off, but now that it was serious, it was very considerate. It was already eavesdropping. Look, this is where Jun Linyuan's life was hanging in the balance. Sakia pointed at the screen. If Patriarch Huyen really is his friend, he would have intervened by then. But he's not there. Look here. The screen showed the VIP seat. It's common knowledge that this giant eagle is the only spiritual pet that can get close to Patriarch Huyen. Let's see who it sits next to. He paused the recording. It was Feng Wu. Not only was Feng Wu sitting next to the eagle, but she was also whispering to it. In the end, Feng Wu said something to the eagle, and it began to fly toward the tower. Look at Feng Wu's interaction with the eagle. The giant eagle is so proud that even princes and princesses have to fawn on it, but it's so familiar with Feng Wu. Keep watching and you'll see that the giant eagle and Jun Linyuan haven't interacted at all. So, do you see it now? Feng Wu is the one who's on friendly terms with Patriarch Huyen. Mr. Saloa couldn't believe his ears as he explained. It was that girl. Lord Jing was astonished. Night Owl clenched his fist. It's her. Sakia nodded. It's her. Night Owl gritted his teeth and murmured, Why is she so popular? How did she gain Patriarch Huyen's favor? 3 months? Even Patriarch Huyen has to pay a high price to resist the Empire for 3 months. Why did Feng Wu make him do such a thing? A hush fell over the crowd, for everyone found it unbelievable. You've been picked, Little Phoenix said sympathetically. They've deduced that you're the young friend of Patriarch Huyen. You're in a lot of trouble. Feng Wu was a little frustrated as well. Has she risen too high and become too outstanding? Why did other people always pick on her? Chapter 4015 Chapter 4015 Marry Feng Wu. Chapter 4015 Marry Feng Wu. Who would have known that the Dongsang Kingdom had such surveillance? That was so scary. But it also made Feng Wu much more alarmed. She had to be extra careful in the Dongsang Kingdom. Only in that way would she be safer. If that's the case, what do you think I should do? Night Owl stared at Sakia. Sakia said, If that little Feng Wu is so capable, why don't we save her life? Is that so? Mr. Sakia said, since Dian has set its eyes on Junwoo, the latter is bound to fall, and everyone there will die. If that's the case, Your Royal Highness, why don't you marry that Feng Wu? They said they wanted Night Owl to marry you. Little Phoenix screamed in. Feng Wu's head. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. Listen carefully. Little Phoenix said, yes. It was a little sleepy at first, but these people really knew how to wake it up. The bombs kept coming. Needless to say, Lord Jing was shocked. Night Owl, on the other. He looked pleasantly surprised. Do you want me to marry that girl? Sakia nodded. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Your Royal Highness can save her life. Night Owl said, well, I can consider it. Lord Jing frowned and was about to say something when Night Owl asked, but will she agree? Sakia said, the Junwoo Empire has learned about the sanctions Dian put on them, and they're bound to fall into chaos. If we tell them that marriage can bring peace, that girl will have to accept it for the greater good. Is Patriarch Huyen going to agree? Night Owl was concerned. Sakia said, Patriarch Huyen may have helped her once, but he may not do it again. Moreover, if Feng Wu wants to marry willingly, he has no reason to object. He knows that the Junwoo Empire is going to be wiped out. He's on friendly terms with Feng Wu, so of course, he wants her to get out of this mess. Maybe he'll be the first to agree. Night Owl was elated. Lord Jing frowned. Your Royal Highness, have you forgotten? His Majesty wants you to marry Princess Yen Ling. Night Owl's face turned livid when he heard the name. Who wants to marry that princess? Lord Jing said, if you marry Princess Yen Ling, Dian will support you, and your Royal Highness's position will be secured. What do you think? Night Owl didn't know what to do. Sakia said, there's a solution. Night Owl asked, really? Sakia said, if His Royal Highness takes the throne, he can't dote on just one woman. Even the Princess of Dian can't interfere. Night Owl clapped his hands. All right. We'll do as you say. Sakia said, I'll start working on it then. Night Owl nodded. As soon as possible. I need to save that girl. After Mr. Sakia left, Lord Jing looked at Night Owl in resignation. Your Royal Highness, this isn't the time for romance. Do you know what's more important? Night Owl said, of course I do. The throne is the most important thing. If other people know who my father is, everything will be gone. That's what you're going to tell me, isn't it? Lord Jing stared at him. Princess Yen Ling already knows about it. Chapter 4016 Chapter 4016 Smart as Feng Wu. Chapter 4016 Smart as Feng Wu. Night Owl said, her purpose is to work with us, isn't it? So, let's talk to her. What Night Owl didn't know was that Princess Yen Ling wasn't that easy to talk to. When Lord Jing went to see Princess Yen Ling, she said unhurriedly, negotiate. Of course we can do that. But before that, sign this first. Taking a look at the paper on the table, Lord Jing frowned. It said that from now on, Lord Jing and Night Owl had to follow her orders. If they defied her, she would reveal Night Owl's secret. Even Lord Jing, who had been indulging Princess Yen Ling, lost his temper. He glared at the princess. That's an exorbitant price. Princess Yen Ling said arrogantly, you don't say. Look at that condescending attitude. Lord Jing felt that he was only a dog in front of her. In this world where the strong were respected, the princess was only a spiritual overlord, but she was so arrogant. He was also a respected lord of the Dongsang kingdom. Lord Jing's face was livid as he said coldly, Princess, that's not a negotiation, is. Princess Yen Ling glanced at him. Negotiate? Who cares about that? Are we negotiating? Don't you know who has the upper hand? She rose to her feet. I'm here on behalf of Dian. We have talented people as well as ancient technologies. Now that I know your secret, if it gets out, you're all dead. Do you think Night Owl is the only prince the kingdom has? The king has at least 30 sons, and there will be more in the future. Do you believe that I can destroy your son and you with a single sentence? You don't want to sign it? Let's see what'll happen. Lord Jing's face went scarlet red. Princess Yenling sneered at him. I see that you're not sincere enough today. Come to me when you show your sincerity. Uncle Ma, see him out. She threatened Lord Jing with Ma Quan again. Ma Quan, the peak spiritual saint, was the person that Jin Wang feared the most when facing Princess Yenling. As Lord Jing stormed off, Princess Yenling smirked at her maid. They're just some dogs raised by my father. Who the hell do they think they are? TSK. She didn't raise her voice, but Lord Jing could hear her. Lord Jing clenched his fists, and his face turned livid. That was outrageous. After Lord Jing left, Ma Quan frowned at Princess Yenling. Princess, don't overdo it. Princess Yenling glared at Ma Quan. If I don't show them some power, they'll try to be my superior. Who do they think they are? Ma Quan had no choice but to try his best to persuade her. Princess, our priority is more important. Princess Yenling said, I know. I won't sabotage it. In Lord Jing's study. Thump! Infuriated, Lord Jing swept everything off the table, and his face went scarlet red. Lady Jing arrived in a hurry to find the mess. It was the same as yesterday. She asked what was going on. Lord Jing gestured at her to leave. My dear husband, Lady Jing said sadly, you used to tell me everything. Are you keeping everything to yourself now? Lord Jing was so frustrated as he looked at his wife. He let her serve the wine and drank with her. Lord Jing had been drinking non-stop. In the end, he had gone pale. Lady Jing was about to put him to bed when Lord Jing suddenly asked, What will you do if someone threatens you? Lady Jing looked at him. Has someone threatened you? Lord Jing shouted, What will you do if someone threatens you? Lady Jing clenched her fists and said, No one should be threatened. If I compromise when threatened, I'll be no different from a rat hiding in a ditch. You think the person threatening you will stop when the opportunity arises, but to that person, all they need to do is threaten you once, and they'll get what they want. Why not do it again? You're afraid of them, anyway. Hiding in the shadows isn't real life at all. My lord, you're too proud to be threatened. Lord Jing's eyes lit up. My lady, do you think so as well? Lady Jing nodded. Of course. What do you think I should do? Get rid of the threat, of course. Make sure that there's no trace left behind. Lady Jing clenched her fist. You're right. Lord Jing smacked the table. Not only did she threaten me, but she also treated me like a dog. Does she think she's that amazing? Lady Jing asked curiously, Who is she? Those words woke Lord Jing up from his reverie. You can leave now. After Lady Jing excused herself, she left the study and went to a remote corner. She removed the makeup cream and revealed her true appearance. It was none other than Feng Wu. Feng Wu knew that after what he had gone through, Lord Jing would drown his sorrows in wine when he got back home. Therefore, she put something in the wine, then disguised herself as Lady Jing and led him in that direction. To Feng Wu, both Lord Jing and Princess Yenling were important chess pieces in the game she was playing. She had been trying to figure out a way to set off a conflict between Princess Yenling and Lord Jing, but as it turned out, the princess was simply too easy a target. Not only did she look down upon Lord Jing and Night Owl, but she also knew their biggest secret and wouldn't stop threatening them. Both Lord Jing and Night Owl were proud men, and they couldn't stand the humiliation. Therefore, the conflict between the Lord Jing and Princess Yenling could lead to friction between the Dongsang Kingdom and the Dian Empire. It would buy the Junwu Empire a lot of time. Feng Wu was thrilled at that thought. Lord Jing had already made up his mind. As his most capable guard, Feng Wu, aka Jing Wei, would definitely be sent out. When that happened, Feng Wu smiled a little, and there was a cunning look in her eyes. Lord Jing was a cautious man. He wouldn't act alone but would consult Night Owl. But before that, Lord Jing summoned Feng Wu. "Jing Wei, how have I treated you?" Feng Wu thought, here we go. Despite her excitement, she didn't let it show on her face. She immediately bowed and said, "My lord, it was you who helped me to reach the spiritual saint stage. You've done me a great favor and I'm all yours now." Lord Jing stared at Feng Wu with a stern look on his face. "Do you mean it?" Feng Wu said earnestly, "Yes, of course." Lord Jing nodded and told Feng Wu, "Eat it then." He handed Feng Wu a black pill. Other people might not recognize it, but Feng Wu recognized it as soon as she smelled it. It was a bloodthirsty, bone-destroying pill, and a supreme-level one at that. Normal people wouldn't be able to neutralize it. Feng Wu was a semi-divine medicine refiner, so she could make an antidote. Lord Jing looked at Feng Wu and said indifferently, "Take this pill, and I'll trust you wholeheartedly. From now on, you'll be the person I trust the most." In fact, only a handful of people in the Jing manor had become spiritual saint. The spiritual saint stage was very rare. Thanks to the fact that Lord Jing was the king's only brother, he was able to raise a spiritual saint subordinate. In the Junwu Empire, a spiritual saint could be the principal of Imperial College. That was to say, with the help of Dian, the Dongsang Kingdom was indeed more powerful than the Junwu Empire. Feng Wu took the pill, stuffed it in her mouth, and swallowed it without hesitation. Lord Jing looked at Feng Wu in amazement. The more capable a cultivator was, the harder it was to control them. Therefore, Lord Jing had his suspicions about this subordinate from time to time, but he didn't expect the man to be so obedient. "Why aren't you hesitating at all? Aren't you worried that I'll feed you the poison?" The look on Feng Wu's face had never been so serious. "My lord, you've done me a great favor, and I feel I was born again. I'm at your disposal now, and this pill is nothing. Even if you order me to stab myself right now, I won't hesitate." Feng Wu was an expert in acting. She almost believed it herself, let alone Lord Jing. What a fool, thought Lord Jing. However, such a fool was much more reliable. Moreover, the toxin would kill him after he used it, so there was no need for Lord Jing to kill Jing Wei. The look on Lord Jing's face was indecipherable, but Feng Wu could see the ferocity in his eyes. But soon, Lord Jing smiled, patted Feng Wu on the shoulder, and heaved a sigh. "You're the best guard in this manor. You're the one I trust the most." Feng Wu cursed inwardly. But she couldn't let it show, so she kept her face straight. Lord Jing said, "Of the 4 guards, I've always considered you the most talented and loyal one. I was right. You didn't disappoint me." Feng Wu played along and looked touched. Feng Wu said in a serious tone, "My lord, feel free to order me around. I'll do anything for you." Lord Jing said, "That won't be necessary. You only need to kill one person." Feng Wu said earnestly, "My lord, please tell me who you want to kill. I'll go fetch their head and present it to you." Lord Jing looked pained. "That person has humiliated me and tried to sabotage my plan. I can't stand it. That person is Princess Yen Ling." Feng Wu looked surprised. Lord Jing said sternly, "Are you afraid?" Feng Wu said, "There's nothing I'm afraid of. I'll even cut off His Majesty's head, let alone Princess Yen Ling's." Hearing that, Lord Jing smacked the armrest of his chair. "Good. Good. I was right about you. Shall I go now then?" Feng Wu turned to leave after that. "Wait." Lord Jing shook his head. "We'll have to think about it. Go get ready." "Yes." Feng Wu went back to her room, leaving Little Phoenix here as her mouthpiece. No Lord Jing's plan could fool her. Little Phoenix stopped nagging about its cultivation because it knew that they were at a critical moment now, and it needed to play along with Feng Wu. in Lord Jing's study. After Feng Wu left, Lord Jing walked around the room with his hands behind his back. He murmured, I have to find a way to lure Ma Quan away, and I have to make it look like someone else is the culprit. It won't be easy. Owl is a smart man, and I need to talk to him about it. Little Phoenix then saw Lord Jing open the secret door of the study. Wait! Little Phoenix cried out in amazement. Oh my, this is incredible! Sitting cross-legged in her room, Feng Wu communicated with Little Phoenix in her head. How so? Little Phoenix said excitedly. Didn't you go into Lord Jing's study before? You've searched the area, haven't you? Feng Wu said, That's right. Little Phoenix said, You've been in that cultivation room, haven't you? Feng Wu nodded. That's right. Little Phoenix said, But you don't know that there's a secret passageway. Feng Wu asked, What? Little Phoenix said, Lord Jing is incredible. He really knows how to do it. If we're not careful, he'll keep everything from us. Little Phoenix told Feng Wu in detail. The mechanisms in that secret room are deliberately exposed so that if someone found out about it, nothing would happen. However, on the other side, Lord Jing has dug a secret passageway. This tunnel is very well hidden. I wouldn't have been able to find it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Little Phoenix chattered with Feng Wu in excitement. You don't say. Lord Jing really knows his stuff. Feng Wu asked curiously, Where does it lead to? Little Phoenix shook its head. I'm following him now. I'd like to see where this passageway leads to. About 5 minutes later. Holy crap! Little Phoenix's surprised voice rang out in Feng Wu's head. I finally know where this tunnel leads to. Feng Wu asked, Is it Night Owl's manor? Little Phoenix said, How did you know that? Feng Wu said, I remember Night Owl said that he didn't want the Dongsang King to know about his relationship with Lord Jing. However, Lord Jing and Night Owl are very close, so there should be a secret passageway. Little Phoenix said, Yes. Lord Jing has gone up there and is sitting with Night Owl in a secret tea room. I think they're going to discuss how to kill Princess Yenling now. Feng Wu said, Listen carefully then. Little Phoenix said, Don't worry. I love to hear other people's secret. Lord Jing and Night Owl sat opposite each other at the tea table, but they had no idea that a bird was staring at them curiously. Night Owl asked, Have you reached an agreement with that lousy princess? Lord Jing shook his head and told Night Owl what happened in the princess's residence. Listen to her? Even when I take the throne. Night Owl smirked. Does she mean that we're going to be her servants? Puppets? Lord Jing nodded. But she'll help you win the throne. Night Owl smirked. I don't need her help. The throne is mine. Lord Jing said, But His Majesty is still in good health. Night Owl clenched his fists and stared at Lord Jing. I want them dead. Lord Jing asked, What? Night Owl said, Can't we kill Princess Yenling and that old bastard? Lord Jing suddenly nodded. It's doable. Night Owl stared at him in disbelief. What did you say? Lord Jing stared at Night Owl. I think it's doable. Night Owl looked up and let out a breath of relief when he saw that no one was around. He stared at Lord Jing and leaned forward. You were only joking, weren't you? Lord Jing stared at Night Owl. What do you think? Night Owl was elated. Growing up, other people only called him smart and even Mr. Sakia often praised him. What they didn't know was that Lord Jing would often come here in the middle of the night to tutor him and teach him a lot of things. That was why he was so smart. Therefore, to Night Owl Mr. Sakia was only sent by the Dongsang Kingdom to keep an eye on him, and Lord Jing was the father he had trusted since he was little. Father! Night Owl cried out, So, can we do it? But if Princess Yenling dies, won't Dian take revenge? Lord Jing said, So, we're going to kill her with a borrowed knife. Princess Yenling can die, but it has to be the Dongsang King's doing. That way, if the Empire of Dian wants to take revenge, it'll be targeting that old man. He'll pay with his own life, and you'll inherit the throne. Therefore, you don't have to do anything. All you need to do is sit there and wait to inherit the throne. When that happens, you can marry whomever you want, and no one can interfere. Yes. Night Owl nodded. So, what should we do? How about? To other people, they were uncle and nephew, but in fact, they were father and son. They were discussing in low voices. What they didn't know was that Feng Wu had heard everything they said. Feng Wu listened carefully and heard every word. So, that's what Lord Jing is planning, Feng Wu nodded inwardly. He's so malicious. Although, Night Owl was the one who came up with the idea. However, it was a dog-eat-dog thing, and Feng Wu could just stand there and watch. Lord Jing only went back after they were done discussing the details. Jing Wei. Lord Jing stared at Feng Wu. I need you to do something very difficult. Feng Wu said, Yes, my lord. Lord Jing enunciated each word. Feng Wu said, But Princess Yanling has such a capable man with her. I'm afraid. Lord Jing smirked. Don't worry. Someone will stall him. All you need to do is take Princess Yanling away. You won't need to do anything else. Feng Wu nodded. She felt sorry for Princess Yanling. If Princess Yanling had listened to Ma Quanquan, Lord Jing's plan wouldn't have succeeded. Lord Jing had been waiting for his chance. During that time, Princess Yanling flared up again. What? He sent someone to the Junwu Empire to propose a marriage? Has he lost his mind? Princess Yanling was well informed and soon learned that Mr. Sakia had gone to the Junwu Empire. She smirked and said, Night Owl is nothing. He's not good enough for me. He doesn't get to say no. He's just a dog. Why would I marry him? Don't make me laugh. But why should he fall in love with someone else when I don't even like him? And there's Feng Wu. Princess Yanling turned to Ma Quanquan. Uncle Ma, kill her. Ma Quanquan frowned. Princess. Princess Yanling said, I don't want to see her alive again. If she's alive, it'll affect my mood, and I won't be able to focus on my cultivation. Uncle Ma, that's why I haven't been able to cultivate recently. Princess Yanling looked into Ma Chuanchuan's eyes. Uncle Ma, please kill her for me and remove her from this world. Ma Quanquan frowned. Princess. Princess Yanling said, Uncle Ma, there's Her Majesty the Empress Dowager and the Imperial Princess above me in the Dian, and my life is so depressing. Can't I do whatever I want on this continent? Do I have to follow other people's orders? Uncle. Ma Quanquan said, Feng Wu isn't capable enough, so it'll be very easy to get rid of her, but that master. Princess Yanling said, just lure her out of the imperial capital. I thought that powerful cultivator couldn't leave the imperial capital. If he could, Huyen wouldn't have gone to save them. And there's her family. Apart from Lady Xuanji, kill everyone else. Ma Quanquan finally agreed. Princess, you need to work on your cultivation and reach the spiritual saint stage as soon as possible. You're so close. Princess Yanling smiled. Of course. Please wait 7 days. I'll become a spiritual saint in 7 days. Feng Wu didn't know what was going on with Princess Yanling. If she did, Princess Yanling would be in a much worse state. Lord Jing had been waiting for an opportunity, but to his surprise, he received news that Ma Quanquan had left Donglin City. Really? Chapter 40:17 Chapter 40:17 Feng Wu's Plan. Chapter 40:17 Feng Wu's Plan. Is that true? Lord Jing was thrilled when he heard the news. He stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Feng Wu nodded. It's true. According to the princess, Senior Ma went to the front line and told her to stay in Donglin City for the time being and not go anywhere else. Lord Jin walked back and forth in excitement. He couldn't wait any longer, so he went to Night Owl. Night Owl was cultivating at the moment. After the breakthrough, he had risen from a level 2 spiritual saint to a level 4 one. Is Ma Quan Quan gone? Night Owl rose to his feet in excitement. Lord Jing nodded in excitement. Night Owl said, Ma Quan Quan won't be gone for too long. He'll be back in a day. This is our only chance. Lord Jing nodded. Night Owl said, My father has been showing my second brother favor recently, trying to make him my competitor. If that's the case, we'll blame it on him. Lord Jing asked, Not on His Majesty? Night Owl said, Father has too many capable cultivators. Even if all your people join hands, they'll still be suppressed and won't have any chance of winning. They'll only suspect us. When they realize what's going on, they'll counterattack. So, Night Owl smirked. We'll destroy his favorite son. Of course, if this gets out, he'll be incriminated as well. After all, that's his favorite son. Only then will he be implicated. Lord Jing nodded. Good. What they didn't know was, Little Phoenix was recording their conversation with a spiritual fossil stone. The spiritual fossil stone was very hard to come by. Feng Wu used to have one, but she had used it already and couldn't use it again. Luckily, they were in the Dongsang Kingdom. With the help of Dian, the Dongsang Kingdom was relatively advanced in technology. Therefore, Night Owl and Lord Jing both had several spiritual fossil stones in their vaults. The one in Little Phoenix's hand was found by Feng Wu after she raided Lord Jing's vault. He then handed Feng Wu a piece of paper. Feng Wu opened it to find an address. 35th Court, Donggu Avenue. Got it? Lord Jing stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was at a loss, but she still nodded. Yes. He stared at Feng Wu and said, This is the second prince's private residence. After you took Princess Yen Ling away, knock her out and throw her into this manor. Then, he finally said, You can leave after that. That's all you need to do. Feng Wu could guess what Lord Jing was going to do, so she nodded and said, All right. As for Ma Chuanchuan's trip to the Junwu Empire, Feng Wu believed that as long as Master Linghu was in the imperial capital, no one would dare to touch her family. Therefore, she wasn't worried. While Feng Wu was taking action, so was Lord Jing. Apart from Jing Wei, he also had secret guards. However, Feng Wu was so capable now, which was why he had sent her to kidnap Princess Yen Ling. Otherwise, he would have sent his secret guards. Princess Yen Ling's current residence was in the most prestigious part of the imperial capital apart from the imperial palace. The Dongsang king had given her a place to live in the palace, but Princess Yen Ling didn't like the atmosphere in the palace, so she chose an exquisite manor to live in. It was more like a garden than a manor. The courtyard was filled with pavilions, and a stream flowed down the slope. It was quite exquisite. Of course, Lord Jing wouldn't send Feng Wu alone. He had also sent a team of secret guards to help Feng Wu with the possible trouble. Feng Wu jumped into the manor and moved as swiftly as a cat. The night watchman didn't notice her at all. Feng Wu's eyes lit up as soon as she set foot inside. So, this garden was covered with formations. Ma Quanquan must have set it up before he left to protect Princess Yen Ling. But Ma Quanquan would never expect to meet a formation master like Feng Wu. It only took Feng Wu 5 minutes to solve the formation. She then quickly moved around the formation until she arrived at a courtyard. It was a 2-story building built against a slope and was surrounded by lush green grass. The cornices were hidden among the trees. The room was dimly lit by candles. This was the core of the formation and the safest spot. Therefore, Princess Yen Ling should be living here. Feng Wu couldn't help but slow down when she reached the core. She knew that it was the safest place for Princess Yen Ling, but for an intruder like her, it was the most dangerous place. There were traps everywhere waiting to cut off the invader's head. Holding her breath, Feng Wu carefully bypassed the buttons that triggered the mechanisms. All of a sudden, Feng Wu halted. When she dodged a button over her head, she stepped on something hard. That was... Feng Wu's stomach lurched. If she guessed right, she was stepping on a secret landmine of the Dongsang Kingdom. Once she let go, it would explode. The explosion alone wouldn't be able to hurt her, but if all the traps were triggered, Feng Wu would probably die here. Just then, she heard noises a short distance away. It sounded like two maids. One was crying, and the other was trying to calm her down. The crying one said between broken sobs, "The princess is so terrifying. I saw with my own eyes that shouty." The one who tried to talk her out of it said, "Stop it. You'll be decapitated if word gets out." The crying one sobbed, "So be it. I don't want to live anymore. It's better to die than to have my skin peeled off." Shouty was only a little slow in her reaction. The other one said in a hurry, "That's why we have to keep our eyes open from now on. We can't afford any mistakes." The one crying said, "I don't know how long we'll live." They were getting closer and closer. Soon, they would reach Feng Wu. She had no choice but to take the risk. Feng Wu bent down and pressed the dagger on the landmine. Only then did she carefully move to the side. After that, Feng Wu crouched down and carefully removed the landmine. When she hid in the shadows, she saw two maids coming her way. Feng Wu noticed that both maids were very pretty, and their skin was so fair that one could almost squeeze water out of it. Is the Dongsang Kingdom so good at raising pretty people? Feng Wu thought to herself. Feng Wu noticed that each of them was holding a sack, as if they were discarding something big. Feng Wu only walked out of the shadows after they were gone. She moved as swiftly as a cat. In the blink of an eye, Feng Wu was outside the window. However, she would be easily spotted here, so Feng Wu jumped onto the roof without making a sound. It was frighteningly quiet. One could hear the sound of the wind. Feng Wu sniffed, for she could smell blood, which seemed to come from this building. Sniffing around, Feng Wu soon located the spot where the smell of blood was the strongest. She leaned over the roof, lifted a roof tile, and looked down. What Feng Wu saw was a shocking red color. It was the color of blood. She saw a bath. The bathtub was supposed to be filled with water, but Feng Wu saw that it was blood red. It wasn't dyed red. It was filled with blood. The smell of blood was repulsive, but Feng Wu saw that Princess Yen Ling was the only one in the room. She had taken off her clothes, and her skin was glowing. She slowly walked into the blood pool. Feng Wu felt a chill run down her spine. There was so much blood in that pool. It had to be hundreds of people's blood. Princess Yen Ling was taking a bath in the blood pool? Feng Wu saw her lying in the pool with a satisfied smile on her face. Feng Wu was astonished. Had Princess Yen Ling been killing hundreds of people every day to fill the bath with her blood so that she could take a bath? Why did she do that? Soon, Feng Wu realized that Princess Yen Ling had absorbed all the blood in the pool. There was no trace left. And Princess Yen Ling's cultivation level had risen. Feng Wu noticed that she was about to become a spiritual saint. Princess Yen Ling said coldly, "Double the amount of blood every day from now on." A hesitant voice rang out. "Princess, Master Lei said that it's already very difficult for them to find teenage girls with spiritual essence. It's already very hard to find the current ones. However, we'll do our best to send people out. They won't delay your cultivation." Princess Yen Ling smirked. "Yuexin, you're so stupid. Why stop at the Dongsang Kingdom? Just expand the circle and go to the other kingdoms, especially the Junwu Empire. If they can raise someone like Feng Wu, they have to have a lot of resources. We don't need to reason with them. It's their honor to give their lives to the people of the Empire. The Emperor will do it anyway, and no one will blame us for it. Just go get it." Yuexin said, "Yes." Feng Wu drew in a breath. And she was going to the Junwu Empire? Feng Wu took a deep breath. One more day of Princess Yenling's life, and hundreds of teenage girls would die. Her life would be a sin. Yuexin was about to leave when Feng Wu jumped off the roof. She struck down with her hand. Yuexin fell to the ground. Inside, Princess Yenling didn't notice anything. She said coldly, "What kind of a place is this? There's so little spiritual essence in the blood, which has kept me from reaching the spiritual saint stage. But my father wouldn't allow me to practice this amazing skill in Dian, saying that it's unorthodox. That was why I had to come here. Do they think I like to stay here? Feng Wu, just wait and see. You were the first person to humiliate me. Who do you think you are? How dare you fight me? You're going to die a miserable death. Do you know?" Princess Yenling was still venting her frustration when she noticed a figure behind her. "You!" When Princess Yenling turned around, Feng Wu sprinkled the truth serum at her face, and the princess immediately fell into a trance-like state. Feng Wu threw a dirty look at her and cut to the chase. "What's your name?" "Yenling." "Where are you now?" "The Dongseng Kingdom." "Why did you come from Dian to the Dongseng Kingdom?" "The blood cultivation destroy." Something inside Princess Yenling seemed to be acting up, stopping her from talking. "Destroy what?" Feng Wu added more truth serum. Ordinary people would have turned into idiots by now, but Princess Yenling wasn't just anyone. She could withstand a lot of truth serum. Even so, it was still too much. "Destroy the Junwu Empire. All of them." Gritting her teeth, Feng Wu crouched down and asked again, "Why do you have to kill everyone in the Junwu Empire?" Because it hurts." Princess Yenling buried her head in her hands and rolled around in the bathtub in pain. Feng Wu noticed that Princess Yenling was giving off blood-red light. Her face, her arms, and her legs looked like they were going to explode at any moment. Feng Wu was utterly confused. She had no idea what was going on. "I can't tell you. It's a curse. I can't tell you." Princess Yenling gritted her teeth. Feng Wu sprinkled the truth serum on Princess Yenling's face again. She asked again, "Why do you want to kill everyone in the Junwu Empire?" "Why?" Because Grandpa Ma said, because the altar, turn it into an altar." Princess Yenling screamed and fainted. Feng Wu was lost in her thoughts. "An altar? What altar?" Feng Wu couldn't figure it out for the time being, but she decided to ask her 6th or 5th senior brother when she got back. Mabdev would know. As for Princess Yenling, Feng Wu hoped that she hadn't been turned into an idiot. Feng Wu pulled a sheet over, wrapped it around Princess Yenling, and dashed off. Princess Yenling used to be guarded by 2 top spiritual saints, but one of them had left for another country. Ma Quanquan, on the other hand, had been sent away by Princess Yenling, which was why Feng Wu could succeed. Carrying Princess Yenling over her shoulder, Feng Wu left the courtyard and headed for the address Lord Jing gave her. It was the second prince's private residence, 35th Court, Donggu Avenue. Feng Wu saw that Jing Bao was there to pick her up. "You're amazing." Seeing that Feng Wu had brought Princess Yenling back, Jing Bao looked at her in excitement. "I thought you wouldn't even be able to make it." Feng Wu smiled bitterly. "It took me a lot of effort. You'll be on your own from now on." Jing Bao nodded. "Don't worry. Lord Jing has left instructions. I know what to." Feng Wu left as soon as she could, for she had to stay there while Princess Yenling was away, so that no one would notice. Feng Wu didn't know what Lord Jing did, but she knew that he wouldn't let her down. Chapter 4018 Chapter 4018, Missing. Chapter 4018, Missing. 2 hours later, Feng Wu took Princess Yenling back to the building. Meanwhile, Princess Yenling was still unconscious under the curtain. Feng Wu took Princess Yenling back to her room and looked at her indifferently. If killing Princess Yenling would stop Dian from attacking the Junwu Empire, Feng Wu would do it without hesitation. But it didn't work that way. According to the information she received from Princess Yenling, Dian wanted to destroy the Junwu Empire for the sake of some altar. Although Feng Wu wasn't sure yet, she knew that it was a strategy that Dian was bound to carry out. Therefore, killing Princess Yenling wouldn't change anything. Moreover, the Dongseng kingdom would only start squabbling if Yenling was alive. Therefore, Princess Yenling was more useful alive than dead. But was she going to let Yenling off the hook just like that? Feng Wu smiled. There was a pill in her palm. The next day, Princess Yenling woke up. She felt as if she had been run over by a mountain and was in so much pain that she wished she were dead. When she saw herself naked and covered in bruises, she bolted up. What was going on? Princess Yenling blanched after examining herself. She was. Damn it. Meanwhile, in the Crown Prince's residence, Lord and Nisht Owl sat opposite each other. It's all taken care of. Lord Jing smiled at Night Owl. Here's the evidence, Princess Yenling and the second prince. He then handed the spiritual fossil stone to Night Owl. Night Owl smacked the table in excitement. That's great. With that, she won't be able to do whatever she wants to us anymore. Lord Jing said, but if she knows about this spiritual fossil stone, she'll know that we did it. Night Owl said, we can make my second brother the scapegoat. Lord Jing asked, what do you mean? Night Owl nodded. I'll let my brother threaten Princess Yenling with it. Lord Jing said, do you think Princess Yenling will kill him on the spot? Night Owl said, that's why we can't say it explicitly. Let's give her a hint. Wasn't that my brother's private residence yesterday? Princess Yenling is very good at tracking people down. I'm sure she'll find out where she was last night. So, we can blame it on my brother and get rid of him through Princess Yenling. In the end, we can say that he gave it to us. Night Owl smiled. King Jin said, why would he do that? Isn't he afraid that Princess Yenling will take her revenge? What's his motive? Princess Yenling has to be convinced. Otherwise, she won't believe it and will suspect us. Night Owl smirked. I've thought of a reason already. Lord Jing asked, what is it? Night Owl said softly, and Lord Jing's eyes lit up. He patted Night Owl on the shoulder and said, my son is so smart. After separating from Night Owl, Lord Jing went back to the Jing Manor. When he saw Feng Wu, he raised his eyebrows and thought, Jing Wei did it himself, so I can't let him live. However, he realized that Jing Wei was going to die from the toxin, so he said, I need you to do something for me. Feng Wu rose to her feet. At your command. Of course, Lord Jing wouldn't give Jing Wei any task. His top priority now was to get rid of Jing Wei, so that the latter would die from the toxin and turn into a pool of blood. Therefore, he said indifferently, go to the Wang family's valley 1,500 kilometers away and fetch something for me. Chapter 4019 Chapter 4019 Change the location. Chapter 4019 Change the location. Feng Wu knew perfectly well why Lord Jing had sent her out. Wang Family's valley? That was just an excuse. More importantly, Lord Jing wanted to send her out so that she could die out there. Feng Wu felt that it was time to get rid of the current disguise, for she still had a lot to do. At that thought, Feng Wu readily agreed. Yes. After Feng Wu left, Lord Jing turned to another guard. 2 days later. My lord Jing Wei is dead. Jing Jia came back with the news. Lord Jing let out a breath of relief. Finally, that person was out of the picture. He told Ling Wei to take the D0 Ison, and Ting Wei was such a fool. Lord Jing sighed inwardly and waved at Jing Ia. Good job. I'll entrust you with the task from now on. What he didn't know was that Feng Wu had snuck up on Princess Yenling. Princess Yenling had a maid, whose name was Yuexin. Feng Wu was going to pretend to be her, but when she snuck into the manor, she realized that Yuexin was gone. After asking around, she realized that Yuexin had been killed. After what happened to Princess Yanling, how could Yuexin, her personal maid, still be alive? Even if Princess Yanling didn't suspect her, she would still vent her anger on her. It would be a miracle if she survived. Feng Wu didn't want to get too close to Princess Yanling either, for according to Sakia, Princess Yanling could smell treasures, and Feng Wu had a lot of treasures on her. Therefore, she wanted to stay out of Yanling's way. Moreover, Ma Quanquan was a peak spiritual saint who was very close to Princess Yanling. Therefore, Feng Wu decided to take a detour. Hence, Feng Wu pretended to be Xingxiang, a third-ranked cleaning maid. Feng Wu had been hiding here for 3 days. She had been mimicking a cleaning maid for the past 3 days, but no one could tell. Needless to say, Feng Wu had something to do. She was going to bring calamity to the Dongsang kingdom. Unfortunately, Princess Yanling had been severely injured this time and hadn't left her room for 3 days. As a result, Feng Wu hadn't been able to see her. Without seeing Princess Yanling, Feng Wu wouldn't be able to carry out her plan. However, Feng Wu wasn't the type to sit around and wait. With a little trick, the senior maid inside soon had a stomach ache. Xingxiang, bring the food box to the princess. The chief maid pressed the box to Feng Wu's hands, then rushed off, holding her stomach. Yes. After the maid left, Feng Wu smiled a little. Inside, Feng Wu saw that the curtain was lowered, and Princess Yanling was nowhere to be seen. She had to be behind the curtain. After what happened, Feng Wu felt sorry for Yanling as well, but Yanling had always been so arrogant and wanted other people dead. It was only an eye for an eye. Feng Wu was about to leave when Princess Yanling suddenly lifted the curtain and stared at her. Princess, Feng Wu feigned a terrified look. Princess Yanling stared at Feng Wu with cold eyes. Where's Shi Jian? Feng Wu whispered, her stomach wasn't feeling well just then, so… If she's not here, you come with me. Princess Yanling dashed off after that. Where were they going? Chapter 40-20 Chapter 40-20 The Second Prince, 1. Chapter 40-20 The Second Prince, 1. Princess Yanling led the way out, and Feng Wu followed her in a hurry. Feng Wu had thought that Princess Yanling was going to the imperial palace, but she didn't seem to be heading in the right direction. Feng Wu noticed that Princess Yanling was sniffing as she walked, as if she was searching for some scent. Feng Wu chuckled inwardly. She knew what Princess Yanling was looking for. After sulking in her room for 3 days, Princess Yanling finally decided to come out and find the truth. Who had taken her? Where was she taken? Who had raped her? Who was behind this? Feng Wu knew that Yanling would find the second prince's private residence because she had cut Princess Yanling's arm on purpose when she carried her out, leaving a bloody wound. Her blood had dropped to the ground along the way. It had been 3 days, but Princess Yanling would be able to find it if she wanted to. Didn't Mr. Sakia say that the princess had a very sharp nose? As expected, Feng Wu saw Princess Yanling sniffing as she walked. In the end, she arrived at a manor. It was the second prince's residence. Princess Yanling stood in front of the manor and narrowed her eyes. She jumped over the wall and entered the courtyard, followed by Feng Wu. She followed Princess Yanling all the way to one of the bedrooms. Princess Yanling pushed the door open, walked in, and stared at the bed that had been cleaned. The bed looked spotless, but Feng Wu noticed that there was a storm brewing in Princess Yanling's eyes. It was the calmness before a storm. Suddenly, Princess Yanling turned around and stared at Feng Wu. Find out whose house this is. She headed for the door after that. Feng Wu noticed that Princess Yanling had clenched her fist. She had to be furious. Just then, a maid walked in and shouted at the two of them. Who are you? Why are you? Before she could finish, Princess Yanling struck out. She reached out with her slender arm and grabbed the maid by the neck. The next second, the maid fell to the ground and was dead. Princess Yenling said, "I need to know in 15 minutes. Feng Wu immediately said, "Yes." Princess Yenling didn't notice the smile on Feng Wu's face after she left. By now, the web Feng Wu had set up was slowly closing in. When it was over, Princess Yenling, the second prince, Lord Jin, Night Owl, Ma Quanquan, and the Dongsang King would all be involved. 15 minutes later, Feng Wu went back to Princess Yenling. Seeing Feng Wu come back, Shi Jian frowned. "Where have you been? Do you think you can come and go as you please? Do you know how long I've been looking for you?" Feng Wu said, "I." Before Feng Wu could say another word, Princess Yenling walked out of the room. She glanced at Shi Jian, and the latter didn't dare to say another word. Shi Jian and Yuexing were Princess Yenling's two maids brought here from the Dian Empire, but Yuexing was missing, and Shi Jian feared Princess Yenling to the bone. Seeing Feng Wu, Princess Yenling waved at her. Princess Yenling stared at Feng Wu with a stern look on her face. "Have you figured it out?" Feng Wu played the role of a maid perfectly, and she was perfect in her tone and posture. Chapter 40-21 Chapter 40-21 The Second Prince, 2. Chapter 40-21 The Second Prince, 2. She said gingerly, "I've checked. That manor is very well connected. It's..." Princess Yenling stared at Feng Wu. "Speak." Feng Wu gritted her teeth and said, "It's the second prince's private residence." "It's him?" Princess Yenling wouldn't believe it. She frowned. How could it be the second prince? At first, she thought it was Night Owl's private residence. "Shi Jian, look into it again." Princess Yenling gave Shi Jian an address. Shi Jian came back 15 minutes later. "Princess, that private residence indeed belongs to the second prince," said the Shi Jian in a serious tone. Princess Yenling then jumped out of her seat and picked up the sword hanging on the wall. "Princess Yu," Shi Jian was surprised. She had no idea what the princess was doing. Apart from Feng Wu, no one else in the manor knew what had happened to Princess Yenling, including the peak spiritual saint. Meanwhile, Princess Yenling's face had turned livid. "This Dongsang kingdom. My family treated them well over the years. Dian has helped them and given them so many things. Do they really think they've risen so high on their own? If the Empire hadn't supported them and suppressed the Junwu Empire, they would have been devoured by the Junwu Empire already. How dare they do this to me?" Princess Yenling was still fuming, and she kept yelling as she dashed off. Soon, she arrived at the second prince's residence. The princes would move out of the imperial palace when they turned 12 and start their own residences. Therefore, the second prince's residence was in the imperial capital, but not in the imperial palace. 4 guards guarded the front gate. They didn't recognize the angry Princess Yenling. After all, Princess Yenling lived in seclusion, and not many people could recognize her. Without another word, Princess Yenling charged out with her sword. Feng Wu and the Shi Jian followed her. Shi Jian was genuinely anxious, but Feng Wu was only pretending. In fact, she was over the moon. The Dongsang Kingdom and the Dian Empire had joined hands to destroy the Junwu Empire, and they were about to break into a fight between themselves. Of course, Feng Wu was happy. The 4 guards didn't recognize Princess Yenling. Seeing that someone was going to charge into the second prince's residence with a sword, they blocked the door and shouted, "Who are you? How dare you?" However, before the 4 guards could finish their sentence, whoosh! 3 of them had been decapitated. It was Princess Yenling. The last guard watched with his mouth agape. He came back to himself, turned around and rushed in, shouting, "We're under attack!" Princess Yenling didn't care what he shouted. She was still furious, so she walked into the manor with her bloody sword. Shi Jian and Feng Wu quickly followed him. The maid was a little anxious. She didn't know why her princess had suddenly lost her mind. This wasn't some random place. She couldn't just kill someone and cover it up. This was the second prince's place. Hence, Shi Jian stopped Princess Yanling. Princess, wake up! Wake up! Princess Yanling's eyes were bloodshot red, and she looked like she had lost her mind. Princess, why are you here? You can't kill people here. Arg. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.